14th day of June 2024. Welcome to the program. This is Good Morning Kenya. A lot's happening today in the country. The finance bill is going to be debated in Parliament today, is going to be tabled. That is coming at a time where the President has also called for a PG in State House for all the Kenya Kwanza administration and all other leaders who are friendly to the Kenya Kwanza administration. We'll be taking a look at that. Is exactly that's be happening at State House around 7. That's when the PG is supposed to start. But meanwhile, remember there is that Occupy, the demonstration Occupy Parliament, that is also going to be happening today in protest over the finance bill. A lot will be happening today. It's a busy week ahead of us. Welcome to the program. I'm Victor Olo. Mike Migwi Ozambe.
Ozambe. Anyway, that has taken root over the internet, but...
All right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very fine. How are you?
Well,
as that is happening, you know, one of the things that Kenyans are looking forward to in matters finance bill is to see if their views will be considered. It will be considered as some of the things raised within that bill are very contentious, and Kenyans feel like they are not necessarily important to them. But we see. We'll wait and see what will happen or how that bill will be debated in Parliament. Meanwhile, today is International Day for Countering Hate Speech. That is what we shall be talking about later on in the program. And I will be joined by Duncan Maigwa, who is a Strategic Communication Officer at Constitution and Reform Education Consortium, and also Masai Cherotich, who is a Congressperson, School of Law at Kenyatta University. We'll be having that conversation in detail later on in the program. Meanwhile, Ray.
Well, that's a challenge that I'm not going to get into. Ozambe. That is one that I'm not going to be getting into. Rightfully put, Victor, it's going to be quite the focus on Parliament this afternoon, where members of Parliament are expected to receive the report from the National Finance and Planning Committee. Remember, they had retreated to do a report. What we have already gathered is that there are some changes that have been effected, including the dropping of the 2.5 motor vehicle tax that had been proposed in the finance bill of 2024. Another change that we are likely to see effected as per the recommendations of that report is also the doing away of financial transactional fees that were proposed to be imposed in the draft finance bill of 2024-2025. And questions are abound. This particular finance bill, 2024-2025, is what is going to inform how government intends to raise funds to cater for the proposed budget at 3.9 trillion shillings. It was presented last week on Thursday there by Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, who is the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary there, now leaving a deficit of around 597 billion shillings, with the rest being raised as ordinary revenue, as well as appropriations of aid at 3.3 trillion shillings. With the Kenya Revenue Authority having, a history of not missing its targets, the government finds itself in between a rock and a hard place to try and support development at a time when Kenyans are calling for better policies to reduce the high cost of living. So, all eyes on Parliament today. Parliamentary group meetings have been lined up, and other than discussing matters of the finance bill, you can bet matters politics are going to take center stage in those particular meetings. Well, we have the opposition there that has also called its parliamentary group meeting there. We have seen them oppose the proposed finance bill 2024-2025, but it is still unclear which direction those parliamentarians who are allied to ODM, rather the opposition, which stand they're going to take with the changes that have been effected or rather proposed in the report there by the National Finance and Planning Committee. We are also likely to hear what the President has to say to his members, so to speak, given there's been a push and pull and somewhat a divide within the Kenya Kwanza faction. Victor will be giving us details of that as we look at matters politics. So that is just in a nutshell where we are as a country, and the main focus today is matters of finance. So we'll be keeping tabs on that, and that's the reason why we welcome your feedback. You can get us on our various socials, including X at KBC Channel 1. Be part of the conversation. And talking about being part of the conversation is that a section of Kenyans have taken to social media to call on their legislators to listen to their voices in regards to the Finance Bill 2024. Now, using various hashtags, the self-proclaimed keyboard warriors claim that if the bill is passed, it will make life harder for the struggling majority. Here's
Regina, allow me to cut you short and ask you a simple question, perhaps in 30 seconds. So what happens if the bill doesn't go through?
Well, there is no situation, and this is just reality, there is no situation in which the bill will not sail through. And this is my reasoning.
But in most unlikely scenario.
In the most unlikely scenario that it does not pass, well, it may not pass with the current state, but it will pass with amendments. Because without the Finance Bill 2024-2025, then there's no policy, there's no guideline on how government intends to raise the requisite funds to support activities of the government in the next financial year that lapses in more or less than 14 days, given that we're already on the 18th.
Yes.
So this one, we are already dealing with the Finance Bill 2023-2024. That is what is governing us right now, including how the spending has been. So after July, we have to have a different dispensation. And also this has been a point of debate, Victor, with a majority of those who are opposed to the proposals there in the Finance Bill of 2024-2025, is that among the tax measures that have been proposed, it's barely 2 years in. We had the current Finance Bill. The draft Finance Bill is introducing, various tax measures that are either differing from what we've just had in the previous year. So there's a lot of uncertainty from investors, local and international alike. Kenya does not have, a predictable tax policy, and that affects business in itself. So that issue, it cannot not pass. And in the event it doesn't pass, you can bet there's going to be amendments, debates and amendments. Like today, the report is going to be received in Parliament for the second reading, right? Paving way for debate. But for this particular proposals that have been put across to the Finance Bill, remember we went through public participation, for them to hold, parliamentarians have to debate and vote on those particular proposed amendments to the Finance Bill 2024. And that particular bill is not just a 2-page bill. It's around 137 pages.
And it takes time for it to be prepared, almost a year of the entire process to be completed.
Well, it is. And the devil is in the details, Victor. And some of the areas that have not been highlighted, I want to ask Kenyans to actually go through that particular document cover to cover. Because, for example, under the Miscellaneous Act, these are clauses that will give more powers to the Kenya Revenue Authority to approach any individual and ask them, or rather direct them, to link, their personal payment systems with ITIMs. It was not before. It was on voluntary basis, but now an individual can actually be directed to do so. Another one, under the Miscellaneous Act, tax measures, is that there's going to be a review of the Data Protection Act, saying that your personal data may be collected for if it is required for investigations or such. You see, now that's a breach of privacy, personal data. Another clause under the miscellaneous includes that now, currently, the affordable housing units, you cannot sell them once you purchase. At least you have to live there for, the clause says you have to occupy the unit for 7 years, at least 7 years before you can actually float it in the market. In the current proposals, it allows, for the sale of affordable housing units. What do you think that ripple effect is going to have? It means those with the financial muscle to buy into the affordable housing units can actually sell back to the market at market value houses that have been built by public coffers. So there's so much in that particular bill, and it is available to the public. If you did not participate, well, have a look at it, read, understand, so that when debate comes forth, then you can very well participate. You know, there's so much, Victor, in that. And as I said, so much has been said on social media, and Abdi Aziz has the details in this following report. Aziz has to say about Kenyans' reactions on social media in regard to that particular finance. Well, as I said, Abdi Aziz had that particular report. Let's hear what Kenyans had to say on social media.
All eyes are on the Augusta House as the Finance Committee tabled its report on the Finance Bill 2024 on Tuesday. Kenyans are expressing their dissatisfaction with the various proposals in the bill. Pressure mounts on the legislators.
That as ODM party, all ODM MPs are under instruction in a written form to go to the National Assembly and reject the new finance bill.
So I want to assure everyone that if our finance committee does not come with a serious report, we will make sure that those sections which are going to affect the majority of Kenyans are going to be removed.
Mimi kama timu Wanyonyi nahakikisha ya kwamba ushuru yoyote ambaye ataleta suffering to the people of Kenya, I will not vote for it.
Finance ya bunge wameweza kutoa vipengele vingi ambavyo kwamba watu na ni kuwapatia kongole. Ikiwa limeweza kufanyika ni kuwapatia kongole wale wabunge kwa kuwa kidete na wananchi.
While religious leaders are too expressing reservation on the bill, claiming majority of Kenyans are struggling.
You elect us in the name of leaders whom you are electing service leaders. When you elect them, they are very good. When they go there, they do what?
Serikali inapoangalia finance bill, wawe waangalifu wasiumize wananchi zaidi.
Abdi.
You can also be part of that conversation. Remember, we're going to be broadcasting live from the Parliament buildings this afternoon when we're expecting that particular report. Now, the judiciary has stopped forthwith the adjudication of cases in makeshift structures across the country. Through a communique from the desk of the Chief Justice, the judiciary says it will not expose judiciary personnel to security risks and will ensure security, especially where infrastructure is not adequate and that it is not compromised. Well, today, the 18th, is designated as a Judiciary Day of Mourning in remembrance and prayers for Principal Magistrate Monica Kivuti, who was shot during an active court sitting.
The judiciary continues to mourn Principal Magistrate of Makadara Law Courts Monica Kivuti, who was shot during an active court session and later succumbed to her injuries. The security breach has seen immediate measures taken to ensure safety and security of court premises for judges, judicial officers and all other court users. A communique from the desk of the Chief Justice states, and I quote, "Moving forward, judicial services will no longer be rendered in makeshift structures." End of quote. The statement further states that repeated requests made to the Executive and Parliament for sufficient resource allocation to upgrade court facilities to standards that guarantee efficient execution of judicial services are yet to materialize. President William Ruto, in his message of condolence, termed the fallen magistrate as a firm and hard-working judicial professional who served Kenyans with dedication. The head of state condemned any form of attack on judicial officers, saying it is criminal and an affront to the rule of law. The National Police Service has reassured the Chief Justice that the safety and security of judicial staff while discharging their official mandate remains a matter of priority to the service. The Inspector General of Police, Japheth Koome, reiterated that the swift action by police court orderlies contained the Makadara shooting incident, including the neutralization of the perpetrator. Monica Kivuti succumbed to gunshot wounds inflicted by a police officer on the 13th of June 2024 at the Makadara Law Courts.
Now, supporters of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's political stance now argue that the position of the Deputy President needs to be accorded respect. Equally, his opponents are accusing the Deputy President of political selfishness meant to alienate the Mount Kenya region.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's gloves of kind of politics seem to have attracted likes and dislikes from the ruling Kenya Kwanza party in equal measures. Manyata, Member of Parliament Gitonga Mukonji, who is also the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association chairman, has called leaders to stop attacking the DP, adding the office should be respected irrespective of the position holder.
Appreciate to see even independent members of Parliament insulting the office of the Deputy President of Kenya, because that is setting a very bad precedence of ensuring no community will accept that position moving forward.
He, however, called for President William Ruto to initiate a dialogue that will end the name calling.
Waweze kuketi chini, kutuliza boli, ili viti zile tutatumia kuweka watu wote kwa meza moja. Hizo viti zote zijulikane, they are favorable positions kwa serikali.
But speaking separately, Embu County Governor Cecily Mbarire accused Gachagua of playing politics of self-centric that might alienate the Mount Kenya region. Public Service Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria claims the DP is the cause of his predicament and misfortunes.
Wapi mazao ya ile kura tulipiga hapo nyuma, kabla utuambie vile tutakupiga kura hapo mbele. Hao ndio hii mwananchi anataka. Anataka kujua kwa sababu aliamuka akapiga kura. Wapi ile ambayo, wapi mazao ya hiyo kura yake?
UDA. UDA.
Elsewhere, a section of UDA delegates from Embakasi East have condemned a plan by the party officials to force a repeat of grassroots elections in the constituency.
Tulichaguana, tukachaguana kwa haki. Sasa tumeanza kusonga, tumeanza kuendesha gurudumu, tunataka kutengeneza hii chama ya William Samuel Ruto. Tumekaribishwa ndani, tuliomba na tumekaribishwa. Sasa tunaomba kitu moja. Wachana na delegates waliochaguliwa.
The delegates are now calling on the party leadership to shape up the stability of the UDA party.
That a particular aspect of campaigning while we are still in an active term, and the stance when it comes to matters of the Deputy President is likely to also feature as Kenya Kwanza, led by President William Ruto. The parliamentary group is going to be sitting today. So other than discussing the finance bill and what MPs allied to Kenya Kwanza have to do when it comes in for debate, politics is going to take center stage. Now, a family in Kishombe village, Aquabate sub-location, Busia County, is in distress after one of their kin, a retired teacher, disappeared without a trace a week ago. According to the family, Daniel Karani Olket, who was mentally disturbed, left home Tuesday morning and has not been seen since. The family says Olket was last seen dressed in a brown jumper jacket with khaki shirt and green sandals. They're now appealing to the public to contact the family through mobile number 0710.
Kupotea kwake. Kwa sababu kutoka kwake tulidhani ni jambo la yeye, mawazo yake yalikuja yakatoka. Watu wakadhani ni kawaida, naweza tembea sokoni arudi kwa wake zake hawa. Kwa sababu yuko na wanawake wake watatu. Anaweza toka aende huko. Sasa tuliona ni kawaida, anaweza tembea arudi. But sasa imehuzunisha uko huu kwa jumla.
Nika report Malakisi Police Station na nikawacha picha yake pia hapo. Nilitangulia kwanza hii yetu iko karibu hapa Changara, hapa kambi. wakaandikisha, wakanipa OP, nikaenda wakani advise nipeleke picha kule chini Malakisi Police Station.
Mnamo tarehe on Tuesday at around 5, na leo hadi saizi hajaonekana mahali alipo. So ujumbe wangu kwa wananchi wote wapendwa, kama mtamuona mahali popote, ni mzee ambaye alikuwa amevaa jumper ya brown, shati ya light khaki hivi, longi ya grey na slippers za green. Kwa yoyote yule ambaye atamuona ako na grey hair, tafadhali unaweza piga simu 0710 11 04 64.
In case you have the information that may lead, to at least finding out where Daniel Karani Oleket is at, the mobile number you're supposed to give that information to is 0710 110 464. 0710 110 464, or report to the nearest police station in case you come across the missing Daniel Oleket. Now to matters education, where learners in insecure-prone areas of Baringo continue to face a myriad of challenges that affect their learning outcomes. A section of leaders and education stakeholders in the region are calling on the national government to address, among others, food and provision of clean drinking water. This comes as the region was ravaged by bandit attacks that displaced communities and disrupted education in the area.
Following a 3-month closure of schools in Baringo North due to insecurity, schools reopened to a harsh reality. A visit to Ngaratuko Primary School under GSU escort revealed a vandalized borehole and damaged school tanks that could have otherwise been used to harvest rainwater.
Tunachimba mtaro chini, alafu tunachota maji. Hiyo maji hata sio ni ile maji colored na watoto wanakuja kunywa hivyo.
With a population of 57 pupils, Ngaratuko Primary School now functions as a learning institution during the day and a residence at night.
We have been told that over the weekend, 40 boys left the school because of the challenges that they are going through.
Lack of reliable water source has forced the pupils to dig shallow wells along dry riverbeds under the watchful eyes of armed security personnel. Purity Rotich, a teacher at Ngaratuko, explains the challenges of accessing clean water since schools reopened.
Mbeleni tulikuwa tukipata maji baul kwa hapa. Sasa tuliporudi tukapika hiyo pokota ameharibu.
The only available water is unsafe, raising fears of an outbreak of waterborne disease.
Sasa tunachota maji bila chochote basi, bila dawa yoyote, tunakunywa tu hivyo. Tunaambia tu serikali aside atuangalie kwa mambo ya chakula, na hata manyumba yetu imepomolewa yote.
Scholar Kangogo, a resident and a parent now living at a school, shares these concerns. Armed security officers remain vigilant while the pupils draw water. The use of an armored personnel carrier tell of the ongoing security threats just 7 kilometers away. Yatia Secondary School is on the verge of closure due to food shortage. With only a single 190 kilo bag of maize and 8 bags of 50 kilogram rice received from the Red Cross, the school has been forced to ration their supplies.
Kuna watoto walitoka juzi sababu ya kukosa chakula. Hao wanafunzi wanakula chakula kwa siku moja ni kunia 2. So hata ile fees yenye wasasi wanalipa haitaweza kununua hiyo chakula. Many children will go back home and then they'll go back to other activities which are not good. So I would encourage the government to provide for the food, to provide for those provisions.
According to school principal Francis Cheptile, this situation has led to over 40 students to leave the school at 3 a.m. and walk nearly 50 kilometers to Mariga despite the insecurity risks.
We still need to be supported so that we are able to retain these students in school. Yeah, because imagine if a school that is paying 40,000, let's say for example in other schools, They are paying 40,000 as fees, and then they are crying. What of the school that is not paying fees?
Kama hatutapata chakula, kama wanafunzi watapata chakula, watakuwa na shida na shule wanaweza funga shule.
They are now calling on the government and other stakeholders to step up efforts and support pupils and students in conflict-affected areas. Timothy.
Kala-Azar, also known as visceral leishmaniasis, has proven to be one of the most tropical diseases in arid parts of West Pokot, affecting hundreds of learners undetected. As such, several groups are now calling for increased advocacy and mobilization to ensure that education and health among the children is not compromised.
In the arid regions of West Pokot, hundreds of young learners are silently battling a formidable enemy, Kala-Azar, also known as visceral leishmaniasis. This neglected tropical disease is taking a heavy toll on the health and education of children, particularly in pastoralist communities. According to a report by the Kachaliba Kala-Azar Treatment and Research Center, 70% of its Kala-Azar patients are children under the age of 15.
Majority of our clients whom we see in this facility or in our facilities are children under 15 years. And this is impacting negatively in terms of their education because of the time these children are in the hospital. Averagely, every child will miss like a whole term.
The disease, characterized by prolonged fever, weight loss and enlarged spleen and liver, mimics malaria, leading to frequent misdiagnosis and delayed treatment.
People who live in the very areas, where they cannot go to the hospital to seek for the medication, they thought that this disease is malaria. By the time they are here, maybe the child is very sick and is anemic.
Parents like George Lokeris have experienced the harrowing journey of seeking treatment for their sick children. Lokeris shares that his son, Henry Kisang, had to drop out of school for nearly a year before being correctly diagnosed at the Kachaliba Center.
Alikuwa anaenda wiki moja, mwili yake nayo inakuwa joto, inakaa nyumbani tena. Tunaenda hospitali tunapatia mapanadol. Baada hapo hivi, baada wiki mbili hivi tena inaanza hivyo. Ikasumbua hivyo mpaka akakosa hata kufanya mtihani. Yeye hata kuelewa vitu kwa darasa haileti. Ndio sasa baadaye akapata improvement wakati alipata dawa.
Despite these challenges, organizations like the Drugs for Neglected Disease Initiative are working to improve treatment accessibility for rural and remote communities. However, the impact of Kala-Azar on West Pokot's children calls for increased advocacy and mobilization to secure their education and health.
Mtoto akigonjeka na umetibu malaria na kama hajapona, tafadhali harakisha kimbisha Kachaliba.
Advocacy is the way to go. The community need to get information of early seeking behavior of the services, of the health services at the nearby facility, so that they can be referred for Kala-Azar services. That's a testing.
Kala-Azar, caused by a protozoan parasite transmitted by sunflies, is fatal if left untreated in over 95% of its cases.
Well, that report from West Pokot takes us to our first break. We'll be right back.
Wajua Nuru, mimi kila kikuona wa moyo wangu unadunda dunda.
Na ulikuwa utaki udunde. Kufa basi moyo wache kudunda. Yaani mimi niko peke yangu kama jini vile. Naomba yaishe jamani. Basi kwa taarifa yako, Hata na nafasi yake pia hapa kwangu sina haja naye.
Umefanya nini kaka? Tulia. Umeona huwezi kumshinda kakako kihalali ukaamua kumangamiza?
Agi, I must say today you are proven me wrong. I would have thought you were son, but today, hey, is that supposed to be an insult?
Atito, please don't give me headache, eh? You know where the rings of this is, so please, keep it to.
For both your sake, I pray that your new boyfriend is smarter than Sakai.
Of course he is. Plus he has already finished college.
Is he working?
Yes, at a local Kimbility factory.
Mister, you know him?
Of course I do.
We work together and you love it, isn't it?
You work with him and you've never mentioned...
We work together with you.
We do?
Yes, of course.
This won't work. This is complete garbage. This guy thinks I'm stupid, like I'm not thinking. Who? Hector Alhure. He was supposed to give me a full report on Melena's past, but all this says is that this woman is a living saint, can't even kill a fly. Oh, please. I have to take the risk. I'm not running. If I do, I will lose everything.
You lost your mind? How could you spend the night with your father's worst enemy?
You had better treat me with respect, because if you don't...
Let go of me, Reynaldo! You don't have the right to treat me this way!
Oh, yes, I do, because you are my wife!
This doesn't give you the right to force me to do something I don't want to do!
Las Bandidas.
Welcome back now to the counties, where Makueni County Minister for Education Elizabeth Moli has underscored the county's commitment to advancing education in the region through the three pivotal strategies that include talent nurturing, infrastructure enhancement and human resource development. Moli highlighted the county's dedication to fostering creativity and excellence in education. This and more in our county's news roundup.
Speaking at the county's Early Childhood Development and Education Drama and Music Festival in Makueni County, the County Minister for Education Elizabeth Moli emphasized the importance of nurturing talent from a young age, citing its critical role in shaping a well-rounded education system.
And the government is very keen on ensuring that we build early childhood development education, focusing on three pillars. So with those three pillars, we are ensuring that the devolved function of education, which is ECDE and vocational training institutes, we are working on them and ensuring that we bring up our children for the future.
Elsewhere, the government has been urged to establish a comprehensive database for individuals with cleft lip and palate conditions in a bid to facilitate early identification and prompt corrective surgeries.
Our government to create a database so that we know exactly where these children are, and this can happen from hospitals, registering these children, so they can then be traced and they can be helped.
Meanwhile, as Kenyans observe Mental Illness Month, calls have intensified for the government to implement policies aimed at addressing systemic challenges and emerging trends in mental health.
Rehabilitations are a part of the solution, but they are not the ultimate solution, because we even need to do something about prevention before people become candidates for rehabilitation.
And Busia County Women Representative Catherine Omanyo has expressed concern over the government's 2-year delay in rolling out the SODO program, citing its impact on the education of the girl child. Finally, journalists and communication officers in Turkana County have undergone specialized training on reporting natural resource-related news in a bid to foster greater awareness and action among Turkana County residents.
Idara ya media wataanza kuhamasisha community umuhimu kwa kuhifadhi mazingira, kuhifadhi misitu na kutunza misitu.
Paulina.
Now let's speak sports, where a team of about 15 players will represent Kenya at the Africa Scrabble Championship to be held from the 23rd to the 27th of October in Sierra Leone. The team, selected after a series of qualifying tournaments in the country, will be led by Alan Oyende, who won the 3-day Scrabble Kenya Masters Series, which ended yesterday in Sagana.
After dominating and winning the 3-day Masters Series Championship, which ended today, Alan Oyende will lead his compatriots at the Africa Scrabble Championship, set for Sierra Leone in October.
This is the toughest tournament we've played in a very long time, in the last 1 year. Yeah, so we even have players from Uganda, Nigeria. There's one player from Uganda, another player from Nigeria, all here. So to come out on top in such a field, you must play exceedingly well. Because these are the best players in East Africa, yes.
The Kenyan team, that also include Bernard Koyoko, David Kimani and Tarus Kipruto, will head to Sierra Leone with the aim of beating defending champions Nigeria, who have won 13 of the last 14 editions of the continental tournament.
The African Championship has eluded us for a very long time. The Nigerians have dominated this, and we are hoping, just like in the All Africa Games, whereby the Kenyans were able to beat the Nigerians, we are going to turn the tables, and this time we might end up victorious.
After 27 rounds of the Masters Series in Sagana, Oyende topped the leaderboard ahead of Edgar Odonkara and Willie Mwangi, who finished the 3-day tournament in the silver and bronze medal positions respectively.
For the 3 days, it has been a real battle. The players have shown level of mastery that we are very positive that going forward the team is going to do well. When the game started, you may not even know who's going to win.
A total of 24 players competed in the event, with the only 2 ladies, Akinyi Wenwa and Cecilia Ruto, finishing in positions 21 and 24 respectively.
The best players are here owning their skills. Not many countries are so developed to have so many masters playing in a tournament as this. I could beat my chest that only Nigeria and Kenya are this strong to have a field of masters, set aside to play themselves.
The 2024 Africa Scrabble Championship will bring together more than 100 players from 14 countries.
Scrabble is a game of tact and strategy. All the best to the 15 players who are going to be representing Kenya in those particular championships slated for October. That puts a cap on Matters News. We invite your feedback. You can get us on KBC Channel 1. On X, as we now I hand you over to Victor, who's going to be steering the next conversation, and you bet is going to be quite the affair, given what is happening in the political scene, as well as what we're expecting this afternoon in Parliament. I'm Regina Manyara. Have a pleasant viewing ahead.
All right, welcome back. It's now 10 minutes past 7 a.m. Welcome back to the program. This is Good Morning Kenya, the 18th day of June 2024, a day after a very, very long weekend. Of course, we want to talk about politics and what is happening across the country, and of course, even across our borders, and what you should be expecting in this coming week. A lot is happening as we speak. The parliamentary group meeting for the Kenya Kwanza administration and allied members of parliament is currently happening at State House in Nairobi. We'll be taking a look at that and what we should be expecting from that parliamentary group. Of course, the finance bill is being tabled today for debate before the floor of the House, and we suspect that is part of that agenda to whip members of the Kenya Kwanza administration to vote for that. But before then, I have my guest in studio. I have Honorable Peter Orero, who is representing the great people of Kibra constituency, and Reverend Mark Ekuru Echakara, who is a transformational leader and a governance expert. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Mheshimiwa, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good.
I expected you to be at status as a friendly member.
Are you sure?
Just asking, as a friendly.
That has never happened and can never happen.
Yes. Okay.
I am a serious, loyal member of ODM in Azimio coalition. And we put checks and balances on the Kenya Kwanza government. And I think the meeting, there is an in-house meeting. It is common in the political field that whenever we have such bills like finance bill,
yes,
it takes the power of the head of state to whip his members to try and support the bill, knowing that the tax bill is against the Kenyans' wishes. We have had public participation for the last 2-3 weeks with the finance chairman trying to get the views of the people. I am sure that the views of the people who have been heard will not be incorporated in the finance bill as we look at it today. As members of the ODM and Azimio coalition, we are ready for the bill today. In fact, from here, we will go straight to the parliament and wait for the bill to come. We look at it close by close, see which are relevant, but we are destined to reject the bill because we have looked at it. It is not for the good of the Kenyans. But maybe as we talk today, we are going to look at why it is not good for the Kenyans, why it is not good for us, and for you in particular, and the Kenyans at large. So I think that is why you have this finance bill, when you look at it, it could be the worst that Kenya has ever had before.
What do you mean the worst?
You know, the finance bill is to project and help in revenue collection.
Yes.
In a bid to try and meet the budgetary lines, the budget estimates of this country. You have seen that they have a budget estimate of about 3.9 trillion. And this finance bill they are bringing, they want to collect with about 349 billion to bridge in the deficit, the gap deficit of the budget of the Kenya. When you want to tax something like bread at 16%, and this is the normal food that every Kenya takes every day, then people will not be taking breakfast. When you look at the eco-levy, environmental levy,
yes,
it is going to affect the packaging of various commodities like oil. It is going to increase by about 16 shillings of those commodities. So we are saying that some of the bills are going to have direct impact on the local mwananchi. So when also you look at maybe certain bills, we are going to have increase in sanitary towels.
Yeah.
So, and these are the basics that where we are as a Kenya now, you know that the sanitary towels for the kids, our kids in a poor background cannot even afford the sanitary towels. When we bring bills that will have direct impact on them, it is serious. We have bills that are going to look at our private data. The data of every individual. The KRA will have access to every individual's data. All the electronic transactions within the bank and outside, even the M-Pesa transactions, the basic transactions, are going to increase. So these are going to have direct impact.
But if I got majority whip, that is Silvanus Osoro, who said that certain amendments are going to be made today, like in the case of bread and the 2.5% of the levy on the motor vehicle is going to be amended. It's going to pass like that. But my question is, do you think that was a decoy to whip emotions, and then it was just being dangled in there, knowing very well that it was not going to be popular? And when you talk about the issue of bread and the motor vehicle tax, so perhaps it was just a silent kind of a levy put inside there, or tax put inside there, but the real deal is somewhere else. A decoy,
I think,
for a debate.
One time I was on record, I think it was either here or other media, saying that there are certain clauses that these people have put, And I said I'm sure that they might be removed to bargain for others which people are not seeing.
Yes.
And one of them is this about bread. They knew that everybody would be making a noise about bread. Yeah, just as you have said, it could be a decoy. And I'd said this before, that this could just be a decoy. But there are other very, very interesting tax that will affect common mwananchi very, very directly.
That is deeply rooted inside that bill.
Rooted inside.
Okay.
So I know that even the Kenya Kwanza, some of the MPs, we have been talking very closely, and they are saying that this tax on bread, they are destined maybe to remove with a consensus.
Reverend, let me get your voice on this one. It's a discussion that has been happening for the last 2-3 weeks or so, that Kenyans are now coming to appreciate the issue of finance bill. People are awoke, if I can call it so.
Well, Victor, first of all, I'm very grateful for inviting me here. And going to the issue of the finance bill, which is the prevailing subject in this season, and that has preoccupied the discourse, the public discourse. First of all, I can perceive Mheshimiwa is on the warpath, and understandably so. And I also don't understand which finance bill he's making reference to, because he's still making reference to the finance bill as was first published. But the finance bill right now has mutated, and amendments have been made to it. And just like you have rightfully alluded, there are several, and even the newspapers have captured it. There are several proposals that have been made, and which are going to have great implications on the industry, especially the manufacturing. The eco levy is only going to be applied on imported products. That is to discourage imports and encourage local production. Bread is going to return back to zero rated. So while Mheshimiwa is talking about bread being taxed, bread is no longer, basically the voice of the Kenyans has been heard. And excise duty on crude edibles has been reduced, and the refined oils has been reduced to 5%. So what we see here, and the motor vehicle tax levy has been deleted. So those are some of the major changes. Actually, they were at the heart of the current public uproar over the bill. So from where I sit, I sit here as a Kenyan who believes in the vision that President William Samoei Ruto had for this nation. And that is the only reason that I'm here. I'm not a government employee nor a public servant. So I believe that this is a government that hears the voice of the people. The intention of all those proposed taxes, I think it is the desire to make sure that we reduce the budget deficit as much as possible, because the budget deficit, once, if it is big, it simply implies that our debt also grows.
Yes.
So the implication of all this desperation to gather as much revenue as possible was motivated by the desire to reduce the...
I want to ask a question.
Yes.
I don't know whether you hunted a mouse. Where we come from is called fuko. When you do potato farming.
I know the moles. They are called moles, not mice.
It's a very notorious animal.
I know.
You'll hunt it going the direction, and then it will leave it at that point, then goes the direction. So does it, I want to give it, is this finance bill akin to that? That the two clauses, because this is around 3.92 trillion.
Not two, there are many.
Yes, the 3.92 trillion shillings. The issue of bread and the motor vehicle is not just enough to raise the 3.92 trillion. So the two issues of bread, and the same question I've asked Mheshimiwa, could it be like, the committee was going this direction and left it at that point, like the mall, and then goes this direction. So by the time you're whipping emotions on this end, going that direction, so the real deal is here. And there is so much that needs to be interrogated. That is why parliamentarians will have it on the floor of the House to go clause by clause to interrogate it further? That's my question.
Yeah, I know. The question is probably you're motivated by the desire to play the devil's advocate.
Not really.
And
not at all.
And Mheshimiwa, actually, what this?
I stand guided.
You see, the House, Parliament is a budget-making house, okay? So we cannot bring the budget-making process to the streets. Their job is cut out for them. They have to do their job. They are the representatives of the people. They are the eyes of the people in Parliament and in the budget-making process.
Yes.
So while we are out here and the majority are throwing stones at the executive simply played its part, did its part. Treasury did its part, brought it to the executive, the cabinet. They approved it, they drafted the bill, they brought it to the House. Now the ball is in the court of the members of Parliament who are the representatives of the people. So they cannot point fingers at State House and the President. Now, because that is how the law has designed it, that once it comes from here, it has to come to the representatives of the people so that they can now go through it. Now get your eyes off State House. Do your job. The people gave you their vote. They gave you a mandate.
Which it sounds like parliamentarians, you are now in the straight jacket because you have no option. Looking at it this way, the opposition do not have numbers even to reject it, even to oppose it to the last bit of it.
You see, before you come to Mheshimiwa, you see, the issue here is not just about having numbers. Because it means if the opposition had the numbers, they would reject it just for the sake of rejecting it because they are opposition. And if government had numbers, they would pass it just for the sake of passing it because they are government and they have the numbers. But you see here, despite the fact that the government, the Kenya Kwanza coalition has the numbers, which means that if they wanted anything passed, they would just run it through the House. They have considered all these views of the people. That is also to say that public participation is very important. You see, unlike the past, by the way, just for purpose of information, many people probably don't understand. Every financial year, a finance bill is published. It is just that the last years and these years are the ones that have raised the awareness to another level that citizens are now more willing to participate.
Let me get to hear from here, Mheshimiwa. You've been put on the pedestal right now as members of Parliament. Now you have the whole process now on you this afternoon.
Now, I think this is just one of the last processes, just as he has alluded about budget-making process. Budget now, the committees within the House first sit to make to do the budget, recommend the budgets, and they go back to the government and see. But now the finance bill is coming to the House. I am a member of the House. My duty is to see whether it is in sync with the aspirations of Kenya, whether it is going to benefit the country, or whether it is going not to benefit the country and the people for that matter. All said and done, the last 2 years is when we have had increases in taxes, more than any other year, as far as I can remember. And it is because the government wants to raise revenue, maybe to meet the budget deficit or something for that reason. I think last year they only collected 2.9 trillion, so there was a budget deficit. But I can tell you for sure that we can never look at taxes only as the only means to raise revenue for this country. You could ask the physicist, chemist, mathematician, like if you were to put yourself in a bucket and you want to lift yourself, you cannot do that. That is what is happening with this finance, that it is just about taxation to try and lift us from the economic doldrums, which I don't think is going to be the case. I think we must create a very, very enabling environment for people and for even the manufacturers to have their businesses flourish. We must have other avenues of having funds. We are talking about austerity measures. are you seeing these measures being done? The austerity measures that the government always talk about. When every day we have hospitality, we have seen that they have increased the hospitality expenditure to even higher levels, hospitality. Why don't we start by ourselves? Why would we give hospitality almost $1 billion?
Okay.
Is it necessary?
Reverend said that I play devil's advocate.
Yes.
Allow me to take that tag for now. But I've never had a situation every financial year where Kenyans, parliamentarians, and even pressure groups say that this financial, the budget is favorable to common mwananchi. It has always been opposed.
But not to this level. I don't think even last year it was not to this level. Look, during the Kibaki's government, it was almost balanced. People were saying this is a good budget, this is a good finance bill, almost 50-50, because it was resonating with the common mwananchi. But when you find that the common mwananchi, everybody is going to be taxed, including the chamas of Wamama. Chama, how do you tax the chamas? So, when it is not resonating with the wananchi, that is why you have huge cries from all parts of the country. Like today, we are not sure whether we are going to enter that parliament. Our phones are busy. Even now, they are asking we vote.
Why? I told that you...
Even now, it is here. Vote no to the finance bill. My phone is full. So we don't even know whether the common...
Where are these messages coming from? Because even last week, we received thousands of messages across.
So these are Kenyans. Like now, you can see this one. Vote no for finance bill. Our phones are full.
Right.
Kenyans are serious about this finance bill because it is going to impact negatively.
I need to take a break. Reverend.
Let me say something here, that for avoidance of doubt, and then just to clarify, every financial year we have deficits, okay? And Mheshimiwa has mentioned about a Kibaki budgets. One thing that is not saying is that when Kibaki took over from Moi, our national debt was very, very small. We didn't have a lot of debt as we have today. That is why Kibaki was not under so much pressure. There was not so much deficit to raise money, a lot of money from citizens to bridge the deficit.
Yes.
Because the debt was small. Even when Uhuru took over from Kibaki, our national debt cannot be compared to what we have today. That is why, at the initial stages of Uhuru's mandate, the deficit was also not huge until now when we started borrowing. And now, Mheshimiwa talked about being in a bucket and trying to lift yourself from a bucket. That's exactly the situation where we are. And we cannot compare it to the Moi. Though people said Moi was bad, he left our country better. Kibaki left our country better because what he received from Moi, when he took over the baton from Moi, our economy was not where it is right now. So we cannot compare these two completely. We cannot compare them. It's different.
Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, I still want us to get into that discussion. Of course, are you going to be part of the operation Occupy Parliament? Are you going to be sitting around? There's a demonstration out there. Just want to find out. It will be interesting to see how that's going to be. All right, let's take a break. Daniel Orogo joining me on set as we come back, and we're also going to take a look at, do you know what? The newspapers. Stay with us. Good morning.
Unajua, token mita yako inahitaji system update. Ni rahisi na ni free. Ukipata ujumbe kutoka Kenya Power, yani SMS. Weka kodi ya kwanza kureset, alafu weke kodi ya pili kuupdate, ili token mita yako iendelee kufanya kazi kama kawaida. Update token mita yako. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
Welcome back. Mheshimiwa says that his phone, he's not even able to trace the last message he received 2 weeks ago because his phone is full. Okay, so let me take you through the front page of the newspapers in one minute. On the front page of the Daily Nation, this is what you have. All eyes on MPs over new taxes. That is exactly what we've been discussing here. All eyes on MPs over new taxes. Reverend says that the ball is now on the court of the parliamentarians. It says that after the National Assembly's Finance and National Planning Committee last evening heeded Kenyans' calls and recommended the removal of some of the punitive tax proposals from the Finance Bill 2024. The focus now will be on the House today as the bill is tabled for a second reading. But even as the team presents its report, MPs will still have to vote for the changes to take effect. Will they listen to the people? That's a big question here. And now, location is Ground 001. That's Kenya, the National Assembly. Kenya Kwanza and Azimio have called parliamentary group meetings today to rally their troops. As Azimio, we also have a PG today?
We have a PG today at 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why 5 p.m. after the...
No, we still have days. It is not going to be over by today.
Okay.
Final vote is on Thursday.
It's Thursday,
okay.
so we still have a day.
That's a question here. Thank you so much for that. Defined Coast Governor said no to Ruto on Mogoka ban. The 5 governors from the coastal region have not heeded to the call for a meeting with the president. Taxes now cross 40% of the price of a litre of petrol. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Very quickly on the Standard, what do you have here? A bit quite different. Widows cry, too many guns in wrong hands. That's on the front page of the Standard. Widows cry, too many guns in wrong hands. This is now coming out after the magistrate was fatally shot by an alleged police officer who was at the Makadara Law Courts during the open court session, and the magistrate succumbed to the gunshot wounds. And now there is even an uproar from the judiciary to have a week after the magistrate was shot dead. The latest victim is Monica Kivuti, a magistrate at the Makadara Law Courts, killed by an angry husband of Arimandi. There we have it. Condolences. Why Gachagua is man on a warpath again? That is on the front page, the 2 gentlemen. But my question is, are they really on warpath? Daniel Orogo, good morning.
Good morning.
Are they really on a warpath?
Well, first is to apologize for joining the panel a little bit late. The unpredictability of, our movements.
Nairobi. Wake up at 2 a.m.
Well, we've tried. We've tried sometimes to wake up a bit early.
Yes.
Well, I think I joined when my good panel was talking about...
My papers are running, flying around. Don't mind. That's the effect of live show. Continue, Daniel.
When my panel was talking about the finance bill, I think first, I don't know whether that conversation is closed, whether I can put my contribution as well. I think first let me agree that we have a robust conversation on matters that deals heavily, that affects Kenyans, as ingrained on the finance bill. We are a nation that is a litigating nation. We are a nation that has learned a lot the importance of public participation, and we are a nation that learns the importance of listening to the people's voices, of including the most critical voices in the governance architect of this country. And therefore, I think Kenyans from different fronts have given their view, and majority has expressed their dissatisfaction about the Finance Bill 2024. There are a number of elements on that particular bill that is yet to be determined whether they were expunged from that bill or not, Victor. However, what we can hear from the majority whip is that certain clauses, has been expunged, especially that which touches on the taxes on the basic commodities like bread, unga, and sorts of that. So that remains something that he has said. We are yet to see that because the committee retreated and reviewed. So we are yet to determine except when it's tabled today. Secondly, we have a government that doesn't listen to professionals. It is not the first time submissions has been made and government has not listened. We have a committee that professionals from different fronts have given their submissions. You have, trade unionists, you have pilots, you have all sorts of professionals and business people from the private sector who have given their views that certain clauses that are being put on certain bills is going to affect the nation. So again, I hope that has been listened to. And however, as that has been done, and I agree with my colleagues, especially on matters of hearing the people, that sometimes it's important also to provide a loophole for the feedback. I mean, just give a feedback mechanisms to people. Because the discussion is we give our view, and then the next morning there is no feedback mechanism, and then it's passed to the National Assembly. People feel helpless because their voices, there's no recall back to the people who are not listening their voices. So I think this time round, we and the courts have declared, and the courts are moving fronts to make sure that certain people who do not listen, especially the members of parliament where the buck stops with, must be recalled sometimes, particularly in this country. One example, two examples we give away and will serve as an example as to why people should listen to Wananchi. Going back to what you've said, for me, I think there are priorities in these particular issues. One, I have heard and I have seen that there is a push and pull between the president and the deputy president. The devil is on the details. We are yet exactly to know the point of the departure. But hear this, that 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote has been purported is a conversation that was there before. It was ingrained on the Building Bridges initiative, and it was declared relevant by certain forces that are pushing it now. If it was not relevant by that time, why is it relevant now? Question 1. Question 2, I believe the issues in Kenya Kwanza must be solved by a parliamentary group. First of all, there is a mechanisms of solving issues in the political party. Therefore, I say this, that the issues that is in Kenya Kwanza are not national issues. They are issues that a party can solve, Victor. I submit.
You submit. Thank you. We'll get back to that. You've heard what he said, but the question is, because I want it was just an overview of what's happening today in Parliament. Okay. Coming back to the real issue now, the issue of, allow me to take this very quickly. I beg your pardon. The front page of the Star newspaper, I'm reminded. 2027 battle, that's what we have here. MPs lay siege on to governors. 2027 battle, MPs lay siege to governor. We have got a number of MPs and senators here. Ruto is on record telling MPs to focus on serving constituents first and not themselves. We have, I'm not seeing Mheshimiwa Orero here. I don't know why he's, he is. I can't see you here. Why are you missing from from that path to heaven? It's a very narrow path. I can't see you here.
Is it the path taking people to heaven? I would have been there if it was taking people to heaven. But maybe it is taking them to hell.
No. This is a land full of milk and honey. And of course it's happening, and we've had a lot of MPs, starting to campaign and all that. We have got, Alice Nganga, Babu Weno, Boni Khalwale, the senator, Didmas Baraza, Godfrey Osotsi. We have got Jerusha Mumanyi. Here on the front page, we have got Mohammed Ali, Peter Salasia, Silvanus Osoro, and Tim Wanyoni. You're missing in the list, so we'll have to find out why. Again, 30 years in state of death for man who killed brother. That's on the front page. Flashy political splurge millions in fundraisers. And again, finally, we are transforming Siaya. That is according to Governor James Orengo. Let me come back to you, Reverend, and let me just hear from you. A good question I should be asking, is there a beef between the president and his deputy?
Well,
he said that should be an in-house affair.
Exactly. I really doubt there is a beef. One thing you have to understand that right now, not Kenya Kwanza, right now in the UDA party is having grassroots elections. And as you know, grassroots elections have been very, very difficult to execute over the years. And I think the last party that really tried to give it a big shot was ODM, which was well over 13 years ago. And no other party has dared to go there because it's like walking on eggshells. So every party tries to find its own way to manage its affairs without necessarily having to go into grassroots elections. So the implication is that the majority of the people within the party are observing what is happening. There are new political leaders that are emerging, millennials, and they are threatening to wrestle, as it were, the reins of leadership from the already established elders, as it were, in the party. And so everybody is jittery. And so to try to cure that, some have tried to get themselves to corners, take this side. And at the end of the day, what comes out is that the people who are on the side of the deputy and those who are on the side of the president are talking at each other. And when the public look at it, since they are not inside there, they can only, just like the rest of us, you can only speculate what could be going on. Because whenever people who are allied to leaders speak, what that implies in Kenya's political space is that they are speaking on behalf of their man. You know, even if the boss doesn't speak, if you hear this person speak, in Kenya we know chances are he could be speaking he's just speaking what his boss would have spoken. So that is what is. So basically what is happening is it's basically speculation and people just deducing for themselves, as it were. So it's just let it play out and let people interpret it themselves.
Okay.
But I really doubt there is, if any Kenyan who is objective can see there is actually no basis whatsoever for the president to be at war with his deputy.
That is my question
right now. There is
because
no basis, completely no basis.
From
So
nowhere,
I doubt.
Yes,
I doubt
from nowhere we've seen that hostility, whether it's there or not. But the question I should be asking you from the political class, do you think there is beef or there is an issue between the two gentlemen, the president and his deputy?
I would pick from my friend Chakara that any objective Kenyan would see. He chose his words very, very carefully, objective. I don't think that statement is going to serve a purpose because when the president and the deputy president were elected, they were elected by Kenyans and they were in Kenya Kwanza. And I remember the deputy president said he has put some guards in State House to check who could come in. There was any. It means they're working very, very closely.
Yes.
I have also heard that when people speak, some speak for the DP and some for the president. For a single Kenya Kwanza party, why would some people speak for the deputy and some for the president if it is really united? Because they need to work together as a party. There are many instances that we can quote this president saying, while replying the deputy president, that he asked the MPs they can move in any part of the country. They can tanga if they want. Because that was a reply to the deputy president who had said that some MPs
should remain in their
constituencies. Yes. So these are direct challenges. They are speaking at each other. Last week, the character of the office of the deputy president was discussed in Parliament at length. And of course, I think Article 17, it does not allow us to discuss somebody in the stature of the deputy president without a substantive motion in Parliament. But last Thursday, it was discussed without substantive motion. Because the deputy president went to airport alone and was dragging his bag himself. And nobody was allowed to touch that bag. I saw him pull the bag himself, carry it himself, and people were wondering that we give allocation, we give money to the office of the deputy president, almost $1 billion, over 600 million towards $1 billion. We are interested in his security, the Kenyans are interested in his security, and we are told that he was not allowed to use some choppers. It was all over in the newspapers. It means that there is a rift between these two people. Let us not bury our heads in the sand and believe in a political class we can say that any progressive Kenya can see that there is no difference. No, we don't need to be progressive. We need to see. Politics is seeing. And we are saying that it is not necessary for us, and when the time for campaign has not come, and why the DP is gathering people around himself with this 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, I don't find it necessary at the moment. And it was in BBI. He is the same person who rejected this that time. And he was 101% against it. What has come? You know, as politicians, people need to judge us with our statements now, today, tomorrow, and yesterday, if we need to be taken seriously. We cannot be against something, a policy, today, and then tomorrow, because of convenience, and it's going to serve our own political interests, then now we want to start supporting it. No, we must take a stand as politicians, we must have a vision for this country, and we must stick to what we believe is good for the Kenyans.
Okay, Daniel.
I think also picking up from the panel, may I say that any objective observer would definitely realize that there is a rift between the president and the deputy. Let me say that there is a rift in the presidency.
Yeah.
Because that is the correct word.
Yeah.
The president is a ticket of president and the deputy. That serves the same office.
Yeah.
So then there's a rift from the presidency. We have learned from history, and we've seen the curse of a publication have been made about the curse of vice presidents and deputy president. Especially that scholars have given their view on what really causes the rifts always between, then we have presidents and then the vice, and then we have now president and the deputy. The kind of aggression we have seen, from both parties, and I agree that there seems to be two functions. Just like it was on the Uhuru's Ruto's Tanga and the rest.
And Kieleweke.
By that time, it is actually being repeated. And this time, it's coming so early, even before the end of first term. That is very detrimental, especially to in a ruling party and a governing coalition. There is a rift. There is a problem, and it's evident. He's been on record, the deputy president, saying that he's a truthful man and speaks nothing but the truth. He has stand nowhere else apart from the podium, the most trusted places in the pulpit. And what has he said? That he has problems. He needs prayers, right? We are quoting what he said on the public. And the kind of prayers he needs, he says that there are people, the next time he was saying and pointing out fingers, that there are people who are friends of the president. I'm quoting him as on record.
No,
it's not my own words.
He fasted for 1 week.
Yes, and he has gone to the mountain and has fasted. And, and that's why he's back. And he's saying that there are people around the president who are the friends of presidents, who might not be his friends. And he's not taking any other orders apart from the people of Kenya.
Yes.
And his boss. Now, when you compare, we are on set here, and we are living in a country where things have been happening, and we've seen, not burying our heads, on the sand. The issue about the rift and the president and the deputy, both of them have said, and are reading from different script, that when the president is campaigning for unity of purpose in a country that is united, the deputy president seems to be reading on a different script. Especially on the division of revenue formula. And this is where 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote is coming from, reading. How then would we look at the equitable share of a country? While one is looking at that there needs to be quality and equity in the distribution, the other is saying that certain areas of this country needs to have a bigger share that compared to the other ones. The other issue that has come, especially on the elections of UDA, and we've seen even in Nairobi, There have been different camps in terms of UDA party primaries. In the governor Johnson Sakaja is in one camp of UDA chairmanship of this county. Jimmy Gakuya was on the other side of another political factions. What else do you need to see? I think just like other political parties, UDA is a political party equally, that people would campaign for different positions, and is normal. And actually is a normal issue. But when you see people taking a divergent and extreme political reading, then it seems that the House, is not united. So that's what I said in my opening remarks, that certain particular clauses in this country that is providing a rift on the ruling party, it seems as issues that we are canvassing.
I want to ask you this question, even as you respond to that, Reverend. The question of the president, the deputy president does not have a party, so to speak. And somebody would argue that Mount Kenya does not have a party as we speak. So does the deputy president, is he waking up to the realization that we are headed toward 2027? And he must have a serious bargaining chip or block ahead of it. But the question is, do you think the one man, one shilling, one vote mantra is enough to cause a rift between them? We all know that a military chopper is not even designated to the deputy president. In fact, in the military ranking, they don't know who is the deputy president. They only know the commander-in-chief, not even the president. So why is the big crack? That is my big question. And do you think the deputy president has woken up and realized that there's something that needs to be fixed before 2027? Go ahead.
Let me just go back to what I said earlier. I said any objective person can conclude that there is actually no need for there to be a rift between the president and the deputy in this time. There is no need. It's absolutely unnecessary. There is no need for it to be there. Now, coming to what you just said, the deputy president has a party. He is the deputy party leader of the UDA, the United Democratic Movement. The president is the party leader, and the deputy president is the deputy party leader. So he has a party. UDA is not President Ruto's party. It was formed together with Rigathi Gachagua and other leaders. So it's unlike URP, which everybody knew was President William Samoei Ruto's party. But UDA was a party that was created by those who are working together with Ruto, trying to push his presidential aspirations. So Rigathi Gachagua has a party. He is the deputy party leader of UDA. And when it comes to the issue of transport, remember just barely 2-3 months from now, when we lost our chief of defense forces in a chopper crash. And remember, that same chopper also would carry VIPs. And so there was a serious audit. There's a serious audit that's taking place within the military as far as our military equipment is concerned. Some of these equipment are old. And remember, the president also mentioned the same when he was giving his tribute to the late CDF Ogola during his funeral. He said that they had discussed so many issues and had plans in place to make sure that there is an update, there is an improvement, and new equipment is acquired for the military. So there is that conversation that has been going on in the military about acquiring new equipment. So having that crashed, another one had crashed earlier in Lamu, the Air Force is strained. And so there's an audit that is going on about equipment. But as we're speaking right now, there is a chopper that is being prepared and being configured to be the official transport for the deputy president. So that problem, because you see, the Air Force is not a security guards company. You know, there are so many things there. You don't just come in there and say, hey, can you send me a chopper? And then they dispatch it. No, there are serious protocols around even the use of military equipment. So it is not something you just wake up in the morning and say, oh, send me one. And then they send. So those are some of the things that have been going on. So the impression that comes out and the perception that comes out is that he has now been denied the use of military choppers. But then there is one that is being prepared, actually, specifically to be the one to be transporting the deputy president.
Okay.
And that it will be available soon.
So the question is...
I think... I thought my colleague was just a reverend. He has so much information in this government that he needs to tell us more about his background, because he is telling us that there is a chopper being configured specifically for the deputy president. We appropriate budgets in the house. We allocate funds in the house. I have not seen the budgetary allocation for a configured chopper for the deputy president. It is a big news. It is big for us. So maybe he needs to give us more about this.
And I wonder, even in the unavailability of a military installation and equipment to fly the deputy president, the likes of Oscar Sudi are flying with state particular choppers. You can see everywhere. The likes of other people, everyone is
maybe was
using
given
this.
a lift. Let me just say.
No. I mean, you could see.
We have seen Didi Nyoro in those choppers.
So
military.
We have seen Omolo, the PS.
This what is really going on, and I think. Like my colleague is saying, sometimes we need to be very truthful to tell the nation about the truth of what is going on. If we are here and then we think our information that is incorrect from what the public is within the public pavilion, how then would it be possible for a deputy president, who is the second in command? And by the way, from a point of security, from a point of safeguarding, because he's the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. Others may see it as another thing, but Kenyans would really want to know. Sometimes we really need to question the safety of the deputy president and the safety of those who are serving in the presidency, as I have said. So I think our members of parliament, probably from the defense, and if there is such committee, then would give us information then.
Okay.
What really is going on with this kind of particular arrangement.
That is part of the problem that the deputy president has raised. Even the other day he arrived at the function almost an hour or so.
Let me say something.
But I think as you answer that, sir, allow me to ask you this question. So, part of the agenda, according to majority whip in the parliament, that's Osoro, he said that they are going to call the deputy president to order during the PG, and they are going to tell him to ship up
or ship out.
No. Forget about that.
No. You see, not forget about that. The question is, so at the end of the day, what if the deputy president does not toe the line?
Let me say this. The Honorable Osoro has no authority over the deputy president. He has no authority to call him to order. So those are just political statements. From where I sit, the deputy president is the deputy party leader of the United Democratic Movement, while the president is the party leader. So any other person holding a position within the party is junior to the president and the deputy president, and none of them has the power and authority to call the deputy president to order. So for me, just take that just as a political statement that has no...
But they can't interrogate his conduct as a deputy party leader.
There is no problem. You see, that's now an in-house thing. When they sit down to discuss, it does not mean that they are going to call him to order, ask him to shape up or ship out. They can't do that. So basically, maybe what he needed to have found a wiser way to say that we are going, when we get home, to clean our house. We are going to advise each other, basically, to behave well and to
You know, Soro is the whip, and is the whip for all of the UDA, including the deputy president. Is the whip.
No, is the whip of the house. The deputy president does not sit in the house, so he's the whip of UDA in the National Assembly. The deputy president does not sit in the National Assembly, so he cannot whip the deputy president.
But you agree with me that the move of the deputy president is affecting the performance of Kenya Kwanza.
You see,
so when they decide to advise him, the way you put it, to advise him, it's not in bad taste.
You see, the problem is what is happening today is that I must admit a bit unfortunate, it is not just the deputy president. So nobody should heap all the blame on him. We have so many errant members who are making statements, roadside statements in funerals, and yet they are junior in the party, they're just members of parliament. Everybody is making, so there's a whole lot of confusion going on in there. So we cannot point fingers at the deputy president and say him alone should carry this. So I think what needs to do, the House needs to call itself to order, and everybody needs to behave, not just the deputy president. Everybody needs to behave right.
We have a saying, because we have a saying, if you see a frog jump during the day, you know there is a big, have you seen a frog jump during the day? So when the deputy president himself says that he is being commanded by bloggers and some PAs, himself, it means it's a big problem. So he is replying to certain forces that are beyond him, but he wants now the public to come to his aid. So in politics, there is no small person and there is no big person. We have seen, if you've seen, when the former vice president, Professor Josephat Karanja, how he was removed as the vice president. He was removed by a very junior person of that party. And in parliament, and there was a vote of no confidence, moved by a very junior person. And he said the dignity of the House has been thrown out of the window, through the window. So don't ever underrate and say that Osoro is not speaking on behalf of the party, yet he is the whip of that party.
I think everybody should just stay in their lane. I think that's important, because whoever is given responsibility, let everybody stick to their lane. I think that is just basically what I'm saying.
It's not only Osoro, by the way.
Allow me to do this. Because everybody should stay in their lane. I'm also told that I should stay in my lane. We take a break. This is the lane.
That's fair enough.
Oh, we're done. 1 hour is gone. Just imagine, just like that.
Yeah, it is 8.
1 hour is gone. Gentlemen, oh my goodness.
Are we having our our closing statements?
Okay. Daniel Orogo, thank you so much. Reverend Shakara,
you mean there's no
Mheshimiwa says that he needs to know much about you. You're not just a member, you're not just a reverend. He needs to know more.
I think we cannot go until, because we might not find another opportunity to admonish the members of parliament.
God is on the throne. We will find another time. Allow me. Reverend, do you agree with that? We'll find another time.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to say bye to my Cuba people.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Me, I'm a politician.
Thank you so much.
Ametuma salamu Kibera. Ametuma salamu.
Wajua Nuru, mimi kila kikuona wa moyo wangu unadunda dunda.
Na ulikuwa utaki udunde. Kufa basi moyo wache kudunda.
Yaani mimi niko peke yangu kama jini vile. Naomba yaishi jamani.
Basi kwa taarifa yako, hata na nafasi yake pia hapa kwangu sina haja naye.
Umefanya nini kaka? Tulia. Umeona huwezi kumshinda kakako kihalali ukaamua kumangamiza?
Aggie, I must say today you have proven me wrong. I would have thought you were son, but today, hey, is that supposed to be an insult?
Atito, please don't give me headache, eh? You know where the lens of this is, so please, dip it to
For both your sake, I pray that your new boyfriend is smarter than Zakayo.
Of course he is. Plus he has already finished college.
Is he working?
Yes, at a local Kimbility factory.
Mister, you know him?
Of course I do.
We work together and you love it, isn't it?
You work with him and you've never mentioned?
We work together with you.
We do?
Yes, of course.
Asante sana Ben Kamuti, nimekupata vizuri tu sana. Kumradhi mtazamaji, kwa hivi sasa ni saa 2:08 saa za kanda ya Afrika Mashariki. Kwa mara nyingine tena karibu sana ndani ya mpango mzima wa kipindi cha kipekee katika taifa la Kenya, kipindi ambacho kinakujia kupitia runinga na vile vile pia kinakujia kupitia redio. Yaani nazungumzia kuhusiana na KBC Channel 1 na vile vile pia mtazamaji nazungumzia kuhusiana na KBC Radio Taifa. Ni siku ya Jumanne mtazamaji, siku ambayo kuna mengi tu sana yanastahili kufanyika katika taifa la Kenya, ikiwa makundi mbalimbali ya wanaharakati hii leo wamesema kwamba wataweza kufanya nini? Kuandamana. Kwa hiyo hashtag leo inakuwa Occupy Parliament. Kwa nini mtazamaji? Kumbuka leo Jumanne ndio siku ambayo ile ripoti ya kamati ya fedha ya mwaka wa 2024 itakuwa inawasilishwa bungeni kujadiliwa. Alafu je, kama kutakuwa na amendments zitafanyika, mabadiliko, tutajua kama watapiga kura wiki hii, basi labda pengine Jumatano au Alhamisi. Lakini yote tisa mtazamaji, kumbuka siku ya Alhamisi wiki iliyopita waziri wa hazina ya kitaifa Profesa Njuguna Ndung'u alisoma makadirio ya bajeti ya serikali ya mwaka 2024-2025. Hata hivyo kuna masuala mbalimbali ambayo yaliibuka msikilizaji kuhusiana na bajeti, ukikiwa wazi kwamba ushuru utaongezeka katika juhudi za kufadhili bajeti hiyo. Leo tulikuwa tunaangalia ni kwamba target ya huu mwezi KRA wanafaa kukusanya zaidi ya shilingi bilioni 500. Zitatoka wapi? Mfukoni kwako mtazamaji na mfukoni mwangu, lakini mfukoni mwangu kumekauka, labda kwako mtazamaji. Na mtazamaji, kwenye hiyo bajeti serikali kuu ina matumaini kuwa uchumi utaimarika na mikopo kutoka kwa mashirika ya kimataifa na mataifa yenye utajiri mkuu. Baadhi ya wabunge pia msikilizaji mtazamaji wameonekana kupinga makadirio ya bajeti na vile vile pia mswada wa kifedha wa mwaka wa 2024. Mswada huu wa kifedha mtazamaji na msikilizaji utaanza kujadiliwa bungeni hii leo na kupigiwa kura siku ya Alhamisi juma hili. Wabunge wanaoegemea upande wa serikali hii leo asubuhi wanatarajiwa kuwa na kikao katika ikulu ya Nairobi na Rais Daktari William Ruto. Swala kuu ni Rais William Ruto anataka kuwarai viongozi hao kupitisha mswada huu wa kifedha ulioratibu jinsi bajeti itakapofadhiliwa. Je, ni nini kilichomo kwenye masuala ama mswada huu wa kifedha? Na je, mswada huu wa kifedha ambao utakuwa sheria ukipitishwa una uhusiano upi na bajeti ya mwaka 2024-2025? Kutusaidia kulichanganua hili mtazamaji na msikilizaji, ndani ya studio niko naye mhasibu anaitwa CPA Jacqueline Kakai. Karibu sana. Asante. Anatoka Association of Women Accountants in Kenya. Karibu sana.
Asante, nashukuru.
Alright. Na vile vile pia upande wangu ule ninaye ndugu wa masuala ya uchumi mhasibu CPA John Arege Nyabicha. Karibu sana bwana Nyabicha.
Nashukuru.
Na vile vile pia tutaungana naye Nyangi John Juma, mtafiti mkuu wa Healthcare Financing Institute of Public Finance baadaye. Labda tu wageni wangu ndani ya studio kulijadili swala hili. Ni swala ambalo limejadiliwa sana na hatutaendelea kulimaliza leo. Labda nikianza na wewe Bi Jacqueline, hebu tupatie tu a brief overview. Taarifa kuhusu bajeti ya mwaka 2024 iliwasilishwa bungeni wiki iliyopita na wataalamu wa kiuchumi. Hii kikuu kilichojitokeza kutokana na bajeti hiyo zaidi ya shilingi trilioni 4 kumradhi.
I think wote tulisikiza budget Professor Ndung'u wakati ameisoma juzi. Najua Kenya walikuwa tayari na matarajio kuwa ni budget ambayo iko tunasema very ambitious, na ukiona hiyo budget tayari tuliona ni kama kuna upungufu, kuna deficit ambayo kama wa Kenya bado tunaangalia jinsi tutaangalia. Tukaona pia location tofauti ambao agriculture, vitu kama agriculture zimebenefit, education, lakini bado tutajiuliza maswali mengi. Despite all that, unaangalia hiyo budget, pesa zinatoka wapi? Wakenya tayari wanaomba. Kila siku unapata wanaishi kwa mikopo. Ni kidhani ukitembea kila Mkenya utapata ana deni hapa na pale.
Kweli.
Sababu maisha yamekuwa magumu sana, and the government is still pushing us to the wall. Pushing this Kenyan to the wall. So tunataka kuangalia hiyo budget, tujue hizo deficit zitakuwa financed aje, tujue manake ukiangalia allocations zingine unaona pesa zimeenda mahali pengine unaona it's a lot of money ambayo hatuko clear pesa inaenda kutoka wapi. Ni ile tu kusema itatoka kwa mfuko ya Wakenya ambao tayari wanapoteza kazi sababu ya ushuru ambao unatozwa kwa kampuni tofauti, na kampuni zimeshindwa kujisustain. So hizo kampuni zinatoka. So wacha tuone na tuombe kwamba wanaenda kufanya amendments kwa hizo finance bill. Wakenya waweze kukaa comfortable, sababu at the end of the day tunaona ni kama Wakenya wengi wataumia, na it's even a mental concern issue for Kenyans.
Amesema pia ni swala la afya ya kiakili kwa Wakenya. Hebu tushikilie hapo tu kidogo mtazamaji, nichukue pumziko fupi tu angalau nipate tama la maji ya sharubeti, alafu nitakaporudi tutasonga mbele. Naona mgeni wangu mwingine pia vile pia tayari ameshafika ndani ya studio, lakini kwanza nichukue pumziko fupi mtazamaji.
John Musembi Kyalo was born in 1931 in Kisakini village, Kasinga, in what was Iveti South constituency of Machakos district. He went to Kasinga and Ngelani primary schools and later joined Kiba High School in Machakos before proceeding to India for a degree in business administration. Upon returning to Kenya, he joined the provincial administration in the office of the president and served as a district officer before he was promoted to district commissioner, working in several districts across the country. Kyalo then left provincial administration upon appointment as a director in the Department of Immigration. Kyalo reached his pinnacle in the civil service in 1970 when he was appointed as permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health. Barely 4 years later, Kyalo quit the civil service for politics but failed to wrestle the Iveti North Parliamentary seat from Aaron Mutunga. His bid for the seat in the subsequent 1979 general election and in the 1983 snap polls flopped too. Kyalo's third stab at a parliamentary seat finally bore fruit in the 1988 general election, where he clinched the newly created Machakos Town constituency and retained it in the 1992 polls. He was then appointed Minister for Health, and during the 3 years he held that portfolio, he hosted President Moi at several fundraisers in aid of schools and churches in Machakos Town constituency, signaling their close ties. As Health Minister, Kialo is credited with expanding hospitals and establishing new ones across the country. He was, however, accused of being the mastermind in the infamous Makueni-Mukurweini mix-up, where he allegedly tricked out Mukurweini in Nyeri district of a multi-million shilling hospital that he instead put up in Makueni in his native Machakos district. 3 years into his appointment as Minister for Health, however, Kialo lost his voice and was diagnosed with throat cancer, which led to his death in 1995. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
In the field of technology, artificial intelligence, commonly known as AI, has been hitting the headlines over the last years. The goal of artificial intelligence is to make machines to think like humans and perform human-like tasks.
What artificial intelligence is pretty much we've been trying to understand how machines can learn the way humans learn.
A machine that is having this human intelligence, you're just embedded in it, and then it's actually now able to actually do task, definitely using now the complex algorithms under it.
The way I think about AI is it's a tool. As long as human beings have existed, we've been working our way towards an assistant or a tool that can help us. So we've actually always been building AI.
Artificial intelligence has become more popular today, but the term AI was first coined in the 1950s. Advanced algorithms, improvement in computing power and storage are among the features that have marked remarkable evolution in AI.
Naam, swadakta kabisa mtazamaji, ambapo ndo kwa sasa unafungulia runinga yako ya KBC Channel 1 na vile vile pia KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya. Hivi sasa ni saa 2:19 saa za kanda ya Afrika Mashariki. Kipindi Zinga kwa ushirikiano na Good Morning Kenya. Ni siku ambayo mtazamaji wengi wanafuatilia matukio kwa karibu yatakayotokea katika barabara zinazoelekea katika bunge la kitaifa, ambapo ripoti ya kamati ya fedha ya mwaka wa 2024 inafaa kuwasilishwa bungeni kujadiliwa. Wakati huo makundi mbalimbali ya wanaharakati yameandaa maandamano #Occupy Parliament, na vile vile pia mtazamaji, asubuhi ya leo kinara wa Kenya Kwanza aliyepia rais wa 5 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya Daktari William Samoei Ruto anatazamiwa kuwa na kikao na wabunge wa Kenya Kwanza. Je, ni yapi yatakayojiri? Na kama nilivyokuambia, ndani ya studio nina wageni watatu kulijadili hili. Nilikuwa nimeanza naye Bi Jacqueline Kakai anayetoka Association of Women Accountants in Kenya, na vile vile pia nikakwambia ndani ya studio niko nao CPA John Arege Nyabicha, na tumejiunga naye vile vile pia ndugu Nyangi John Juma ambaye ni mtafiti mkuu Healthcare Financing Institute of Public Finance. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Naam, kabla tuende mapumziko, Bi Jacqueline alikuwa ameeleza kuhusiana na swala zito hapa, akasema kwamba Wakenya sasa wana ule ugonjwa wa afya ya kiakili kutokana na mambo yalivyo. Labda nikirudi kwako Bwana Arege, rais leo anatarajiwa kukutana na wabunge wa Kenya Kwanza. Wengi wanahisi kwamba anataka kuwarai kuhusiana na huu mswada wa mwaka 2024. Je, mbona bunge liko independent lakini waelekezwa na executive?
Kulijibu swali lako kwa haraka ni kwamba rais ni kiongozi wa serikali, na hii bajeti, makadirio ya bajeti aliyotoa, mswada wa fedha ni azimio yake rais, kwamba ni serikali yake. Tumempa kandarasi ya miaka 5 aweze kutumikia wananchi, na ile bajeti itaweza kumwelekeza jinsi atakavyotumikia wananchi. Kwa hivyo anahitaji fedha ya kutumikia wananchi. Mswada huu usipopita kwamba itaweza kumwadhiri rais na ile mipango yake, ndio maana lazima aweze kuwarai wabunge waweze kumsaidia kupitisha mswada ule ili aweze kupata mapato kamili ya kuendeleza serikali. Hivyo kwamba tunasema kwamba the governments, the arms of governments are independent but pia ziko interdependent. Manake kwamba huyu lazima afanye, yule afanye, kisha tuweze kuafikia lengo moja. Ndio manake lazima aweze kuwarai. Jambo lingine ni kwamba wakati ule tunapoenda kwenye kampeni, utaona kwamba rais anataka wabunge wengi. Manake kwamba atakapoanza kutekeleza zile sera zake aweze kuwa na wabunge ambao wanaweza kumsaidia kupitisha miswada bungeni.
Labda turudi kwako Bwana Nyangi John Juma. Hili swala la mswada huo mwaka 2024 ameelezea vizuri kwamba rais lazima anahitaji pesa kurani serikali, na vile vile pia ameelezea kwamba wakati mwingine hizi asasi za serikali zinafaa zishirikiane. Sijui kauli yako ni ipi, kwa sababu asilimia kubwa ya Wakenya wanasema kwamba huu mswada hauwafai. Viongozi wa kidini wanasema kwamba huu mswada hauwafai. Wewe kama mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kifedha, swala hili unaliona vipi?
Asante sana Bwana Rashid. Unajua jambo la muhimu sana ni kwamba huu mswada umeweza ku changamua wa Kenya sana. Imeweza kuwapatia ile ari ya kutaka kushiriki katika maamuzi ya fedha, na sasa wako pale katikati. Sasa unaona hata mara ya kwanza hakuna pande ya upinzani, pande gani, unapata wananchi wenyewe wanajikusanya wenyewe na wanazungumzia hili swala kwamba sasa tuko na bajeti, na hii bajeti inaenda kufanya nini? Kutekelezwa kutokana na pesa ambazo Wakenya wanataka kutozwa kwenye ushuru. Na Kenya nao wanasema lakini tumefinyika sana kwamba serikali imechukua kiwango kikubwa cha fedha kutoka kwetu, na wanahisi kana kwamba ni wakati ambao serikali inafaa kuwarudishia pato ambalo wameweza kupata, wasiweze kuchukua zaidi. Na sasa tunaangalia kwamba serikali nayo kwa pande nyingine imefinywa sana sana kwenye kona. Iko na bajeti kubwa ya trilioni 4, na sasa ikiangalia mahali ya kutoa pesa iweze kutekeleza bajeti yake, mahali rahisi sana ni kutoka kwa Wakenya, kwa sababu katiba inasema kwamba sovereignty iko kwa watu. Serikali ikiwa imekwama, kama haiwezi kopa, haiwezi uza mali yake. Umeona hivi karibuni ilikuwa inataka tuuze KICC, tuuze wapi. Hata hapa kulikuwa na mjadala kwamba tunaweza kubinafsisha mashirika fulani ili serikali iweze kupata pesa. Lakini sasa kufika wakati huu, serikali inataka kuchukua pesa kutoka kwa Wakenya kutumia ushuru. Na Wakenya nao wanasema hili ni swala zito. Lakini Bwana Rashid, ukiangalia hii bajeti, kuna zile sekta ambazo zimeweza kupata ongezeko kubwa la bajeti, na kuna zile ambazo zimeweza kwenda chini sana. Na ukiangalia mwaka uliopita, mswada huu wa finance bill ulileta joto sana.
Kweli.
Na tena ndio huu tunaangalia tena mwezi huu tena mwaka huu tena joto imekuja sana. Lakini serikali imejifunza nini kutokana na mwaka uliopita ili kwamba mwaka huu iweze kufanya tofauti? Na serikali imeweza kupata pesa mingi kulingana na mabadiliko ya fedha na ushuru ambao walifanya. Tukiangalia zile data zinaonyesha kwamba serikali imeweza kuongeza angalau kama bilioni 100 hadi bilioni 200, na imeweza kufanya marekebisho makubwa sana kwenye hizo sheria za ushuru. Kwa hivyo hili inaonyesha kwamba hata kama serikali inaweza kuwa na bidii sana kutaka kuongeza ushuru mwingi, inaweza fikisha mahali ya kuokota pesa kidogo, kwa sababu wale wa Kenya pia ambao wanatakana kutoa hizo pesa pia wao wanasema pesa zao hazipo. Ukikamua ng'ombe mwenye hana maziwa, hata ukamue sana unaweza kosa kupata hayo maziwa kwa sababu hayapo.
Bila shaka nikirudi kwako Bi Jacqueline, hii bajeti iliposomwa tuliona kwamba nusu ya bajeti imeenda kwa executive, na sana sana inatumika katika matumizi ya serikali na maendeleo ni kidogo. Sijui swala hili unalionaje?
Ni jambo ambalo it has raised a lot of concern, sababu tunahitaji maendeleo. Nilisema kwamba Wakenya hawana shida wakilipa ushuru, lakini shida inatokea pale ambapo unalipa ushuru lakini hauoni pale inaenda. Bado unaenda hospitali private, bado unapeleka mtoto wako shule private, sababu public school haikui facilitated vizuri. Sasa unapata ndio hii pesa tunasomewa budget, wamesema inaenda kwa public debt, alafu a big junk is going to the executive. Hiyo pesa inaenda kwa executive, hata ukiangalia bado kuna travels hapo. Na tunasema pia hatuna shida rais na watu wake wakitravel. Lakini as you travel, what are you going to do? Are you traveling to bring us donors, to bring us grants, or you are traveling to continue piling on the big debt that is already there? Because wakati mwingi ukisikia rais ametravel, unasikia loan imekuwa approved. Ameenda loan imekuwa approved, ambayo inazidi kutuumiza kama Wakenya. So Wakenya tulitarajia pesa ziende kwa kuboresha shule, kuboresha barabara, hospitali. Ukienda hospitali upate dawa. Lakini bado unapata Wakenya wanaumia. Na unaona bado wanataka kuumiza, manake unalipa pesa lakini bado unataka kuumizwa mahali. Lakini ukilipa pesa una matarajio, unataka maisha bora. Sababu ni nchi yako na una shida ukisupport your country. Country yako ina we get our revenue from taxes. We'll get some amount from the appropriation aid and public debt. Unaona public debt tumeshafika pale ambapo tunaambiwa Kenya mnaenda sana. So hilo jambo wangeketi chini waangalie, sababu tunaona Parliament got itself 1%. Naona wana shida sababu kupata 1% ya budget mzima kuendeleza shughuli zao wako sawa, lakini zile critical areas zenye Wakenya wanataka pesa ziende huko kwa agriculture, kwa masomo, ziende kwa health, ziende kwa security, hatujaona, ambalo ni jambo ambalo linagadhabisha Wakenya. Na ndio unaona sasa Wakenya wamekasirika, Wakenya wametoka, wanasema hapana. Sababu hii budget, ukiona goal ya hii budget ilikuwa economic recovery and then social protection, lakini unajua economic recovery si kitu unaamka asubuhi alafu unasema we've now recovered economically. Ni kitu ambayo ni gradual. Ingeenda pole pole tuweze to pick ourselves from the recession that we are facing as an economy. But vile kunaenda na vile ushuru unatozwa, Wakenya tunaweza tukajipata hiyo social protection hatuna, na hiyo economic recovery hatuna. Vile tumeambiwa taxing people more does not mean we'll collect more taxes. Unaweza ukatax watu wafike mahali wachoke, wapoteze kazi, alafu ukose kupata ushuru ambao unataka.
Nikirudi kwako ndugu yangu Arege Nyabicha, tumewaona baadhi ya wabunge wakisema kwamba wataunga mkono, wengine wakikataa, na vile vile pia tuliona baadhi ya vitu katika mitandao ya kijamii kwamba wananchi waliweza kuwapetition wabunge wao kupitia nambari za simu wakiwataka kutopitisha uno mswada, lakini asubuhi wana kikao. Je, unahisi mbona kwa nini hawa ni wabunge ambao miongoni mwa majukumu yao ni kuwakilisha wananchi, ni kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba wanafanya ile role yao ya oversight, lakini hapa wamegawanyika? Tatizo ni nini? Kwa sababu kuna wabunge wanaopinga uno mswada, kuna wabunge wanaokubali.
Rashid, ukiangalia mswada wenyewe una mambo mazuri ndani na pia kuna mambo labda si mazuri sana, ndio maana kuna huo mgawanyiko. Ila wakati mswada ule utakapofika bungeni utapigiwa kura, na jambo zuri kuhusu kura hiyo ni kwamba kura yenyewe inafanyika clause by clause, kipengee moja baada ya kingine. Kwa hivyo vile vipengee ambavyo labda si vizuri.
John Arege, shikilia tu hapo. Naarifiwa kwamba kuna matangazo upande wa pili wa studio. Mtazamaji, wacha turuke upande wa pili wa studio, alafu takaporudi tutaguza mahali ambapo tumeachia.
kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu. Labda ni TB ni ugonjwa wa kweli, ukipimwa matibabu yapo utapona. Daktari kushauri tumia dawa kwa nidhamu, elimu tupashane tupige vita TB. Mwa TB waishi poa.
This World Blood Donor Day, join us in celebrating 20 years of giving. Thanks to blood donors, I'm here today. Your donations gave me a second chance.
This won't work. This is complete garbage. This guy thinks I'm stupid, like I'm not thinking. Who? Hector Alhure. He was supposed to give me a full report on Melena's past, but all this says is that this woman is a living saint, can't even kill a fly. Oh, please. I have to take the risk. I'm not running. If I do, I will lose everything.
You lost your mind? How could you spend the night with your father's worst enemy?
This message is brought to you by the Kenya Blood Transfusion and Transplant Service.
Barabara kabisa mtazamaji, baada ya pumziko fupi kupata matangazo ya kibiashara, karibu tena. Kumbuka hii ni KBC Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya. Kipindi hewani ni Zinga kwa ushirikiano na runinga ya KBC Channel 1, kipindi GMK, na tunazungumzia kuhusiana na mswada wa kifedha wa mwaka wa 2024 ambapo unaanza kujadiliwa hii leo katika bunge la kitaifa. Na kabla tuende kwenye mapumziko ya kibiashara, nilikuwa nazungumza na ndugu John Arege Nyabicha, kumradhi kwa kukata. Labda ukamilishe ile hoja yako alafu tusonge mbele.
Ulikuwa umeniuliza kwa nini inaonekana kuna wabunge wanakinzana. Nilikuwa naeleza kwamba mswada ule una mambo mazuri pale ndani. Mswada ule pia una mambo labda yanakera wananchi sana. Ndio maana nikasema kwamba mswada ule utapigiwa kura clause by clause, kipengee moja hadi kingine, kwamba vile vibaya tunaomba wabunge waweze kuvikataa, vile vizuri vipitishwe. Alivyosema mwenzangu ni kwamba bajeti hii iliyosomwa iko na deficit ya kadri ya kiwango cha bilioni 500. Kwa hivyo hiyo deficit finance bill isipopitishwa, pia ile deficit itaenda ikiongezeka. Itamaanisha nini? Kwamba miradi ya serikali lazima iendelee. Tutapata wapi pesa? Serikali imesema kitu cha kwanza tufanye ile inaitwa external borrowing. Mmesikia tukilialia madeni yamekuwa mengi. Kitu ya pili tufanye internal borrowing. Kwa hivyo ile deficit ikienda ikikuwa kubwa itaweza kuleta shida, kuna miradi ambayo itaweza kusimama. Kwa hivyo ni kurai tu wabunge kwamba ile vile vipengee ambavyo ni vizuri viweza kupitishwa, vile vibaya kama ile ada ambayo inatozwa mkate ile kiwango cha 16% kiweza kutolewa. Pia watu wameweza sana kuadhabishwa na motor vehicle tax ile 2.5 pia iweze kutolewa ili kwamba iweze kuondolea wa Kenya mzigo. Naam.
Na pia mafuta.
Na pia mafuta. Ni kweli.
Labda nikirudi kwako ndugu Nyangi John Juma, Wakenya wengi wanajiuliza maswali chungu nzima. Hii ni bajeti ya Ruto? Hii ni bajeti ya Ikulu? Hii ni bajeti ya Treasury? Hii ni bajeti ya bunge? Hii ni bajeti ya IMF? Hii ni bajeti ya World Bank? Hii ni bajeti ya nani?
Hii ni bajeti ya hao watu wote. Kwa sababu ndugu Rashid, ujue kwamba katika ile tunaita budgeting process, kwa wakati huu tuko ile stage ya pili, ambayo ni ile stage ya approval, yani ya kupitisha bajeti ambayo imetengenezwa. Inachukua kadri miezi 10 kutayarisha bajeti. Na wakati wa matayarisho ya bajeti, makundi mbalimbali yanahusishwa kutengeneza hiyo bajeti. Sasa ikifika wakati huu, tunaangalia kwamba hii bajeti ukisoma iko ni mchanganyiko. Iko na ukisoma hiyo bajeti yote, hata ukisoma hizo vipengele vyote, unaona kwamba hapa kuna mkono wa IMF, hapa kuna mkono wa bunge, hapa kuna mkono wa executive, hapa kuna mkono wa wananchi. Lakini sasa unaangalia imegemea wapi, na masuala yote ni ya muhimu. Lakini sasa kwa wakati huu, ile kwa kimombo tunaita priority, yani yale ambayo yanafaa kupewa kipaumbele ni yapi yale, ndio sasa tuweze kusema hii ni bajeti ya nani. Ukiangalia hii bajeti, kwa mfano, waliofaidika zaidi ni bunge. Wao walishajitengenezea, waliongeza pesa yao. Ukiangalia executive, state house, ukiangalia office of the president, wameongeza pesa yao. Lakini ukikuja kwenye afya, hiyo bajeti imeshuka mno. Mwaka uliopita bajeti ya afya ilikuwa bilioni 141. Wakati huo bajeti imeweza kukatwa kwa bilioni 14, ni bilioni 127. Hata ile pesa ya linda mama, ile ya mama kutumia kujifungua, ilikuwa bilioni 5, imeshukishwa hadi bilioni 2. Ile pesa ya chanjo ilikuwa bilioni 9, imeshukishwa hadi bilioni 7. Ukiangalia, unaangalia sasa hii inaelekea wapi? Ni nani anafaidika hapa? Hata wale watu ambao wanaweza kupewa pesa ile tunaita cash transfers, wale wazee, wale walemavu, hiyo imeweza kushukishwa. Ukiangalia mswada wa hii finance bill, unaweka ushuru kwenye hizi tunaita sanitary towels. Hizi kina mama na wasichana wanatumia. Imeweza kuweka kwenye diapers za watoto, inaongeza kwa kilo moja shilingi 150. Sasa unaangalia kwenye hizi sanitary pads, kwenye hizi towels za kufunga watoto, ikiwekwa, hii ni mambo ya muhimu sana. Hii ikiweza kufanywa ikiwa bei ghali, itaweza kumwadhiri yule Mkenya wa chini kabisa. Kuongeza bei ya huduma ya kutuma pesa kwenye simu, kwenye bank, M-Pesa, kutuma shilingi 1,000, 2,000, hiyo ushuru inawekwa hapo na inaongezeka hiyo gharama karibu na 50%. Hiyo inachangia kufanya maisha ya mtu wa chini kukua ghali mno. Sasa ukiangalia hii bajeti, ni bajeti ya nani? Hii ni bajeti ya wale ambao wamefaidika zaidi, na ni bajeti ambayo inafaa kurekebishwa kidogo iweze kuangalia wale watu chini. Lakini sasa unaona kama wabunge wataweza kubadilisha hili swala siku ya leo?
Ndio swala hilo. Turudi kwako Bibi Jacqueline. Je, unahisi kwamba kuna baadhi ya vipengee wataweza kuviondoa, kwa sababu mara nyingi watu tunasikia ipitisheni bila mabadiliko?
Rashid, na ni kama wabunge pia wameona Wakenya wanalia sana, na I feel like there are some aspects of that watabadilisha kabla ipitishwe. Na moja wapo naona ni vile mwenzangu amesema, hiyo ya motor vehicle, hiyo ya 2.5 wanaweza wakaangalia hiyo 16% VAT kwa mkate, naweza ikaangaliwa. Iko levy itaguzwa kidogo. Alafu naona pia hiyo ya kuguza sanitary towels na diapers pia inaweza ikaguzwa. Manake at this point Wakenya inafaa tukue tunapigania kupeana sanitary towels kwa shule bure, sio kuongeza gharama. Kwa hiyo pia naona pia Data Protection Act, nina imani pia inaweza ikaguzwa kidogo. So I think wamekuwa Naivasha na pia wanasikia wameitwa Ikulu. Ni matumaini yangu kuwa watasikiza Wakenya na waguze zile vipengele ambazo Wakenya wako so much concerned about.
Na tukisalia hapo kabla kwenda kwa wenzako, kuna swala la public participation. Wakenya wanahisi kwamba ndio wamehusishwa, lakini maoni yao hayafanyiwi kazi. Basi kuna haja gani ya public participation ambayo iko katika katiba yetu?
I think kama ulimsikiza Oledama last week, alisema kuwa as a politician, I want to tell you this, that yes, we do public participation, but we don't take into consideration what you say. Lakini I'm being positive. I want to stay very optimistic. Na niseme kuwa watusikize, sababu hata mimi personally I feel they do public participation just as a matter of legality, lakini si ati sababu taka kusikiza wa Kenya, lakini ni maombi yangu kuwa this time round wa public participation imefanywa ili wasikize wa Kenya ni wapi wa Kenya wanaumia, ni wapi wa Kenya wanafinywa sana, ili waweze kujisaidia. Maana yake najua wanajaribu, wanasiasa ni watu ambao wanajua venye ucheza mchezo yao, sababu unajua naambia Mkenya shift itakuwa na liable on payslip, housing levy itakuwa liable on payslip, sababu wewe usikie kuwa kuna mazuri hapo, but ni kama ile ndio sisi usema wanapeana na mkono mmoja, wanachukua na mwingine. So ni matumaini yangu kuwa wataangalia zile vipengele ambazo Wakenya wanataka watilie maanani. Public participation isikuwe that we used money in vain, iwe ni kuwa they took into consideration what Kenyans want.
Nirudi kwako Bwana Arege. Kuna Wakenya baadhi tu wamepanga maandamano leo hapa jijini Nairobi ili kupinga mswada huu. Je, unahisi watasikizwa ama watapigwa tear gas?
Labda nikimpokea mwenzangu alivyoachia, kwanza niseme kwamba ningependa kuhamasisha sana Wakenya wafanye ile inaitwa public participation. Tuko zaidi ya milioni 50, kwa hivyo maoni ni mengi, na ninahisi kwamba maoni haya baadhi yao huwa yanasikizwa. Kwa hivyo ningependa sana kuhamasisha Wakenya wako na jitokeza kwenye vile vikao, toa maoni, yasikizwe yasisikizwe, toa maoni, kwa sababu hilo ni jukumu lako la kikatiba. Yule mbunge pia last week nilisikia kwamba walitumiwa jumbe nyingi sana. Pia hiyo ni njia moja ya kuhakikisha kwamba tumeshiriki kikamilifu kama Wakenya katika ile mchakato mzima wa kufanya makadirio ya bajeti. Njia nyingine, ukiona kwamba mbunge akusikizi, ukiona katika vikao usikizwi, njia nyingine ni hiyo ya #Occupy Parliament, kwamba nenda pale, keti pale, paza sauti. Kwa njia moja au nyingine Wakenya wataweza kusikiza. Kwa hivyo hiyo ni njia nyingine ya kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya wabunge wametusikiza, serikali imetusikiza, na kwamba vile vipengele ambavyo havitusaidii kama Wakenya vimeweza kutolewa. Kwa hivyo ulivyouliza kwamba ile Occupy Parliament kama itaweza kusaidia, nikijibu swali lako ni kwamba inasaidia sana. Hata kama vile vipengele bado havitatolewa, sauti yako itakuwa imesikizwa na yule mbunge atajua kwamba hauna furaha na ile kazi ambayo anafanya. Pia nafikiri tukisonga mbele, tunafaa pia kufanya marekebisho ya katiba kidogo ili Wakenya waweze kupatiwa nguvu. Mbunge akienda kinyume na matakwa yako, njia iwe rahisi ya unaweza kumuita, ukamfuta kazi na ukaweka mtu mwingine ambaye anaweza kukusikiliza. Kwa hivyo nafurahi kwamba Wakenya sasa wamegutuka. Ile civic education kama imeanza kufika mashinani. Wakenya wamekuwa wamechanuka tuseme, wamekuwa kishiriki katika vikao tofauti tofauti, na tungependa kusema kwamba civic education iendelee, Wakenya wapate ile civic education ndio waweze kushiriki kamilifu katika mchakato mzima.
Asante. Nikirudi kwako ndugu yangu Nyangi John Juma, kuna ile swala ambalo vile vile pia linajitokeza, na sidhani kama mamilioni ya Wakenya ambao ni mama mboga na bodaboda wanalielewa, isipokuwa tu labda working class. So lazima la Social Health Insurance Fund, yani SHIF, ambapo itaanza kutumika mwezi ujao. Je, labda kuna uhusiano wowote wa ufadhili wa afya na huu mswada wa kifedha?
Asante sana Bwana Rashid. Ni kweli kwamba sasa kuanzia Julai tarehe 1 tutakuwa tunaanza sasa kutekeleza hii sheria mpya ya Social Health Insurance, ambayo sasa NHIF itakuwa inatoka, na sasa tuko kwa hiyo huduma na hiyo insurance ya afya mpya. Na kwa hiyo insurance mpya ni kwamba sasa ni lazima, sheria inasema ni lazima kila Mkenya na mtu yeyote ambaye anaishi Kenya, hata kama si Mkenya, aweze kuwa amejiandikisha kuwa anachangia kwenye hiyo fedha ya afya. Na ukiangalia inasema kwamba pia sasa hauwezi pata huduma yeyote katika hospitali yeyote ya serikali kama wewe haujajiandikisha. Na hilo ni kweli kwamba unaweza pata Wakenya wengi hawajaelewa kwamba ni lazima wajiandikishe, na ndio waweze kupata huduma lazima waweze kufanya nini? Kuwa wamejiandikisha. Na inaanza sasa kutoa ile inayoita 2.75%, asilimia 2.075 ya kila Mkenya ambaye analipwa mshahara. Na hata yule ambaye halipwi mshahara, kuna namna ambayo mapato yake yanakadiriwa na yeye analipa kwa mwaka. Huyu mwingine wa mshahara, mimi kama na wewe wenye tunalipa kwa mwezi mshahara, tunalipa kwa mwezi. Lakini huyu mama mboga ambaye anauza ndizi huko na huyu mtu wa bodaboda na mkokoteni, yeye sheria inasema atakuwa analipa mara moja kwa mwaka. Ukiangalia kwenye hui mswada wa finance bill, imesema kwamba sasa hata zile mashini za kufanya x-ray zimeweza kuwekewa ushuru. Sasa kwa njia nyingine itakuwa inaongeza huduma ya afya, kwa sababu ukishaweka ushuru kwenye hiyo huduma, kumaanisha kwamba sasa hata kama kwa mkono mwingine unasema unataka kushukisha gharama ya matibabu chini, umeshaweka ushuru pale, matibabu ya magonjwa sugu kama vile kansa yataenda juu. Na tukiangalia sasa kwenye bajeti, bajeti ambayo imetengewa maradhi kama vile kansa imeweza kupunguzwa kabisa kwa kiwango kikubwa. Unaangalia bajeti ya Kenyatta National Hospital, bajeti ya Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, na hizo ndizo hospitali ambazo zinashughulikia hasa sana magonjwa kama hayo, bajeti yao imeweza kupunguzwa. Sasa kama bajeti yao imepunguzwa, ule mchango wa serikali kwenye hizo hospitali umepunguzwa, inamaanisha kwamba sasa hizo hospitali lazima zitaweza kuweka gharama juu, zitalipisha Wakenya gharama ya matibabu, na utapata kwamba mwaka ujao kuanzia mwezi wa 7 huu matibabu yataweza kwenda juu. Na hata kama serikali imeweza kusema ile ruwaza kwamba inataka kufanya ile tunaita huduma bora kwa wote, yani UHC, lakini tukiangalia barabara ambayo serikali imechukua kwenye bajeti hii, hatuoni kama hiyo barabara inatuelekeza katika kupeana huduma bora ya afya kwa wote, kwa sababu zile nchi ambazo zimeweza kutekeleza hiyo huduma kwa Wakenya, kwa watu wote, kama vile huku karibu tunaangalia nchi kama Rwanda ambayo inajitokeza kama imeweza kutekeleza hiyo huduma vizuri. Tukiangalia kama vile Cuba, nchi kama South Korea, nchi kama Thailand, tunaangalia kwamba mchango wa serikali kwenye afya uko kwa hali ya juu sana. Yani ule ushuru ambao serikali inakusanya inaelekeza katika upande wa matibabu. Lakini sasa hii yetu tunaangalia kwamba ilikuwa imepiga hatua kwa asilimia 100 ya ile fedha ambayo inatumika kwenye afya, serikali inachangia kama asilimia 48. Hizi asilimia 52 zinatoka kwa wafadhili na Wakenya kulipa kutoka kwa mfuko yao na hata kutoka kwa private sector. Lakini sasa serikali kisha punguza mchango wake kutoka kwa ushuru, basi inamaanisha kwamba Wakenya watakuwa wanaenda kwa mifuko yao zaidi, wakiweza kuchangia hiyo huduma ya afya. Kwa hivyo sasa, kwa kumalizia, Bwana Rashid, ni kwamba hii sheria mpya ya afya ni mzuri sana, lakini serikali inafaa iongezee pesa na ihakikishe kwamba hakuna Mkenya yeyote ambaye atazuiliwa kupata huduma kwa sababu ya matibabu. Linda Mama ambayo imesaidia wamama kujifungua irudishiwe pesa yake. Ilikuwa na bilioni 5 ambayo ilikuwa inasaidia, imepunguzwa hadi bilioni 2. Mimi ningependekeza kwamba hiyo bilioni 3 irudishwe. Ukiangalia chanjo, wiki 2 zilizopita tumeona kina mama wakitaabika, wakitembea kilomita 5-6 kutoka hospitali hadi hospitali wakitafuta chanjo za watoto. Hawangeweza kupata. Wamepunguza pesa ya chanjo kutoka bilioni 9 hadi bilioni 7. Hata leo asubuhi nilisikia mlikuwa na kipindi hapa huko Pokot, mnaangalia magonjwa kama leishmaniasis, yale magonjwa ambayo yalikuwa yameisha yameweza kurudi, na asilimia 70 ya watu ambao wanaumia ni watoto miaka 15 kuja chini. Kwa hivyo tukiweza kuwa tumetoa pesa kwenye afya, tunaweka hatari sana watu ambao ni watu wa chini. Huko North Rift, huko Pokot, huko Wajir ni mahali ambapo wako na mashida kubwa sana. Kwa hivyo tunahitaji kuweka pesa kwenye afya na tukazielekeze mahali ambapo zinahitajika zaidi. Kama chanjo, kina mama, hizo hazifai kuguzwa kabisa. Tunaweza kuguza zingine tu. Tunaweza punguza bajeti hata ya wabunge na tukaweka kwenye afya. Tusiweze kupunguza bajeti ya afya na kuipeleka kwenye bunge. Na najua wabunge wanasikiza hili vizuri sana. Hata kama hawataweza kutekeleza, watajua Wakenya wamezungumza na Wakenya wameoccupy parliament, na hiyo sauti itasikika, wapende wasipende.
Asante sana ndugu yangu. Labda nikirudi kwako Bi Jacqueline, naona dakika zetu zinakwenda kama maji. Wengi wanasema hizi zote tunazopiga, watu wanazopiga kule nje ni kama kelele za chura, haziwezi kumzuia ndovu kunywa maji. Je, possibility ukiangalia ya mswada huu kupita na kutopita iko vipi?
Mswada utapitishwa. Na najua Wakenya wengi hata saizi wako psychologically prepared, wanajua mswada utapitishwa.
Ndio.
Kila mmoja wetu anatumaini kuwa yale mambo ambayo ina raise concern kwao wataweza kurekebisha. Lakini mswada kama ni kupita, I think ulipita.
Ala, ulipita. Nikirudi kwako ndugu Arege. Je, huu mswada utakapopita una connection ama impact yoyote na siasa za mwaka wa 2027?
Bila shaka. Bila shaka. Mswada huu endapo utapita ulivyosema kwamba upite bila mabadiliko yoyote, labda utaadhiri watu wengi, wabunge wengi mwaka 2027, kwa sababu Wakenya wanagadhabu sana. Najua huwa tunasema kwamba Wakenya wanasahau ikifika pale wakati wa kampeni wanapatiwa pesa, labda wanasahau. Lakini ukiangalia katika takwimu zile, kampeni iliyopita kuna wabunge wengi ambao hawakurudi kwa sababu labda ya tabia kama hizi. Kwa hivyo kuna ile connection between mswada huu na siasa ambazo zitafanywa mwaka 2027. Kwa hivyo ningependa tu kuwarai wabunge kwamba waweze kusikiza sauti ya mwananchi, kwa sababu wao ndio wamewaweka pale, waweze kuwasikiliza, waweze kuondolea mzigo ambao umeanza kuumiza Wakenya. Pesa ziwekwe katika sekta ambazo zinamwadhiri Mkenya moja kwa moja, kama ni sekta ya kilimo, sekta ya barabara, labda ule ushuru ambao umewekwa kwa bodaboda utolewe, ule ushuru umewekwa kwa mkate labda uweze kutolewa, ili Wakenya at least waweze kuondolewa mzigo na waweze kuendelea na maisha yao.
Huu mswada ukipita, pengine kuna sekta zitafaidika? Huu mswada wa mwaka 2024 wa kifedha, tuseme upitishwe, kuna baadhi ya idara na sekta zitafaidika?
Kuna zile sekta ambazo tayari unaona, tuseme wakiweka kama magari. Huu mswada wa 2.5 ukipita, sekta kama ya insurance.
Ndio.
Sasa itakuwa na mchanganyiko, kwa sababu sasa utakuwa magari yote unalipa huo ushuru wakati unachukua insurance.
Ndio.
Sasa unajua huwezi weka gari kwa barabara kama hauna insurance. Na sasa itamaanisha kwamba kutakuwa na kazi imeongezeka. Na wale watu wa kufanya valuation, pia hiyo gari unalipa ushuru kulingana na dhamana ya hiyo gari.
Ndio.
Na kwa sasa hivi Wakenya wengi wanachukua ile tunaita third party, ambayo haihitaji valuation ndio upewe hiyo insurance. Lakini sasa kumaanisha insurance zote, policy zote, itabidi ufanye insurance ndio uweze kupata sasa value ya hiyo gari kulipa. Sasa kumaanisha kwamba kuna hawa watu wa kufanya valuation watakuwa wamepata soko, watakuwa wamepata biashara kubwa ya sababu kazi sasa itaongezeka, magari yote yataweza kufanywa valuation. Na ukiangalia sasa sekta kama tuseme mkate, ukiwekewa hiyo ushuru, tunaweza ona watu wanaweza punguza kukula mkate, wanaweza rudi kukula viazi, kukula chakula cha asili, pengine wakajisaidia. Na hii kama hii ya kutuma pesa kwa simu kutoka kwa bank kuja kwa simu. Unajua siku hizi hata wewe Rashid unaweza maybe siku ulikuwa na pesa cash kwa mfuko, inaweza kuwa kitambo. Sasa hivi hata unaenda pale unauliza ni TV ama ni baby.
Kweli.
Lakini sasa hiyo gharama ikienda juu, tunaweza ona pengine watu wanarudi kutumia hiyo huduma kidogo. Sasa wanaweka pesa cash na unaweza kulipa. So unaweza angalia hiyo sekta kama inaweza adhirika, kwa sababu watu watumiaji wanaweza wakapungua kiasi.
Okay. Labda kwa dakika moja tu zimesalia, nikirudi kwa Bi Jacqueline Kakae. Je, kuna funzo ambapo Wakenya wanafaa kujifunza kuhusiana na swala hili?
I think kama Wakenya saizi wanaweza kuwa, naweza nikasema wamejifunza kuwa wanasiasa mara nyingi wataweka interest zao kwanza. Sasa kama Wakenya inafaa waangalie wakati hata wanatengeneza maamuzi unapigia nani kura, inafaa waangalie wanapigia kura mtu ambaye atajali maslahi yao, sio mtu ambaye ataweka maslahi yake yeye mwenyewe mbele ama ataweka pesa mbele. Sababu ukisikia wanasiasa wenyewe wanasema siku hizi parliament is a public enterprise. You know what it means when it says a public enterprise. Yeah, so Wakenya waangalie mtu ambaye atawajali.
Bila shaka. Naam, nirudi kwako ndugu yangu na wewe umalizie. Yes, kauli yako ya mwisho kulingana na swala hili ni?
Kauli yangu ni kuhamasisha sana vijana tuweze kushiriki kikamilifu katika shughuli hizi za serikali, kwa sababu serikali ya kesho ni serikali ya vijana. Kwa hivyo tuweze kushiriki kikamilifu, vijana wajiandikisha kupiga kura. Pale tunapofika tunapiga kura, hakikisha kwamba umempiga msaza mtu ambaye unataka kumpigia kura, hakikisha kwamba umemhoji yule ambaye unataka kumpatia uongozi, ili kwamba awe mtu ambaye anaweza kurepresent vizuri. Yes.
Right, asante. Nikirudi kwako Bwana Nyangi John Juma, na wewe tumalizie. Kuna wengi wanasema kwamba hatuwezi kuangalia tu swala la kupandisha ushuru kama njia ya kuokota ama ya kuongeza mapato katika taifa la Kenya. Lakini kwa dakika moja tunamalizia na vipi nawe?
Mimi ningemaliza kwa mambo mawili. Jambo la kwanza, ningeorai kwamba Wakenya wazungumze na wabunge wao. Leo kila Mkenya ako na mbunge. Hapo Rashid najua.
Kweli mbunge wangu ni Mishi Mboko.
Wangu anaitwa Mathias Robin na ni mwanachama wa ile kamati ya Budget and Appropriations Committee wa Kuria West. Sasa zungumza na mbunge wako. Wakenya wametuma jumbe nyingi sana. Endelea kutuma hizo jumbe. Pigia huyo mbunge, mwambie vile vipengele ambavyo wewe hujaridhika navyo. Na anapokwenda pale kupiga kura, wewe kuwa macho kabisa, uangalia kama huyo mbunge wako ameweza kukuwakilisha vilivyo, kwa sababu ako kule bunge kwa maslahi yako. Jambo la pili, ningewaambia wabunge na serikali, hata rais, sikiliza Wakenya. Kwa sababu aliyevaa kiatu ndiye anasikia kinamfinya wapi. Wakenya wamesema tunafinywa hapa, hawakatai kulipa ushuru. Kinasema hapa hii ya mkate inatufinya, hii hapa inatufinya, hii ya padi inatufinya, hii ya magari inatufinya. Rekebisha hiyo. Na mwisho, hii pesa ukichukua kwa Kenya tumia vizuri.
Haya, najaribu kuangalia mkutano ule wa Kenya kwanza pale Ikulu, naona body languages si mchezo. Tuache haya, mtazamaji, ni ya siasa. Lakini asante sana Abi Jacqueline Kakai kufika ndani ya studio asubuhi ya leo kutoka Association of Women Accountants in Kenya. Asante sana.
Karibu.
Na vile pia asante sana ndugu yangu CPA John Arega Nyabicha kufika ndani ya studio zetu asubuhi ya leo.
Karibu sana.
Na vile pia asante sana ndugu Nyangi John Juma, mtafiti mkuu Healthcare Financing Institute of Public Finance. Asante sana.
Asante.
Alright, mtazamaji, naambiwa kwamba muda wangu haunami. Hivi punde tutakuwa vile pia tunapeleka sehemu zingine tuwajuze kulikoni. Kama tulivyokuambia, kuna mkutano mkubwa ambao unaendelea kule Ikulu, tutakuwa tunakujuza mengi, lakini kwa sasa nikuregeshe kwake mwenzangu Mike Mwigi ambaye yuko studio B kuendeleza kipindi hiki. Kwa niaba ya wote ambao wamefanyikisha kipindi hiki, asanteni sana mafundi wa mitambo wote wa radio, asanteni sana mafundi wa mitambo wa TV, wa runinga, wapiga picha wangu hapa ndani ya studio, mwenzangu Dora Manyo upande wa pili, asante sana vile pia waelekezi wangu Nancy Kemuto na vile pia Geoffrey Ondite ambao ndo watayarishi wa kipindi cha leo. Kutoka kwangu naitwa Rashid Momkondo na upeleka kwake Mike Mwigi.
Maji ni uhai, maji ni haki yako.
Je, unajua kwamba wizi wa maji ni uhalifu unaoathiri sisi sote? Hata hivyo, wateja wengi wa maji husalia kimya bila kufahamu madhara yake.
Pole chabu ni vikombe vya mosongo. Kenyanji, what do you want?
Gwe. Mbosire gwe.
Usinjaribu kutumia njina yangu in vain we.
Atito, you have forgotten your famous quote. Wacha niende msiniambukise ujinga.
Please, just let's leave it, okay? Now, where are the rest?
Wasreb, tunaadhimisha miaka 20 ya udhibiti wa huduma za maji.
Agi, I must say today you are proven hero. I would have thought you were son, but today, hey, is that supposed to be an insult?
Atito, please don't give me headache, eh? You know where the ends of this is, so please, deep it.
For both your sake, I pray that your new boyfriend is smarter than Zakayo.
Of course he is. Plus he has already finished college.
Is he working?
Yes, at a local Kimbility factory.
Mister, you know him?
Of course I do.
We work together and you love it, isn't it?
You work with him and you've never mentioned...
We work together with you.
We do?
Yes, of course.
All right, welcome back to Good Morning Kenya, and as of course you know, it's Tuesday, so it's Health Tuesday segment. My name is Mike Megu, and today we are talking about orthopedic technology services in the country. And in studio with me is John Ondiege, who is a prosthetist and orthotist consultant. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm okay.
Yes.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
Yes.
I'm glad to talk about my profession.
Yes.
I'm a consultant prosthetist orthotist, as you have said it,
Yes.
which is an advanced level of orthopedic technology.
Mm-hmm.
And today we are going to talk about orthopedic technology services in Kenya.
Yes. So before we went on here, you were telling me you are an expert on things that the public don't know, especially when it comes to orthopedics.
Yes.
What are these things?
As I'm talking to you now,
yes,
I am an expert in the management of congenital talipes equinovarus. In a layman's language, that is a child born with clubfoot. So I am an expert in doing the management that is conservative, not surgical. And that is one of the areas that is very key in this country. We have already sensitized people on this management without surgery. I am an expert in spinal orthotics. Spinal orthotics is talking about things that will support that spine following different spinal conditions. We have spinal conditions like what we call kyphosis. We have spinal conditions like what we call scoliosis. And lordosis, which is hyperlordosis, very common in ladies because of the use of high-heeled shoes. And when they are expectant and they are still continuing to use high-heeled shoes, believe me, they go through a lot of pain and they don't know the remedy.
Yes.
So I am an expert in those areas that will call them and actually be able to address these situations. The only problem is that the things I am an expert in is not known. For example, I am an expert in prosthetics. When you tell somebody I'm a consultant prosthetist orthotist, he's thinking you are tongue twisting. Yet that is the name of my profession.
Yes. Speaking of prosthetics and orthotics, they are part of orthopedic services.
Yes.
Talk to us about them and how they differ.
Good. First of all, let me talk about orthopedic services in general. Orthopedic technology services in general is the science that deals with the fabrication of prosthetics, the fabrication of orthotics. Prosthetics are compensatory. Let's say, for example, a leg has been cut. So we will compensate that leg and you will have your leg back. That is what we call a prosthesis. An orthotic service is supportive. You have a weak limb. We have people that we call that had polio, myelitis before. So we refer to them as post-polio cases. So we give them an orthotic device, which we call a brace. Now, this brace supports the weak limb, and it makes this person walk. We are only not limited to prosthetics and orthotics. We are also doing rehabilitative appliances. That includes things like wheelchairs. By the way, wheelchair is a prescribed appliance. And I'm always at war with politicians during the time, during the times of campaign, when they want to dish out wheelchairs like clothes. No, that is very wrong. A wheelchair is a prescribed appliance. It is like, I sometimes tell them, why don't you go and pick antibiotics and start distributing to give people? Because the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board will take them to court. But they take advantage of orthopedic technology. Since we don't have a council, they pick wheelchairs, they pick crutches, they pick whatever, and they dish out to people. You find a child dangling in an adult wheelchair. You are deforming this child more than helping the child. And because the parents of this child do not know, and disabilities associated with poverty, a research has been done. Most of the people that are disabled, you will find that they are not okay financially. And therefore, if somebody is being given a wheelchair, he picks it and thinks that it is a help. It can only be a help if it comes from an expert like me. Because I'm also an expert in the design and fabrication of a wheelchair. So there are so many areas. So those areas we cover, and we are forming part of the rehabilitative science family, where we are together with occupational therapists, physiotherapists. Now we have expanded it with audiologists, ENT, ophthalmology, and low vision. So we are a big team of rehabilitation. And orthopedic technology service is very key in all this.
Speaking of orthopedic services within the country, how would you rate these services so far?
I would say that we are just struggling. Why are we just struggling? Because we are not known. Our services are not known. Just like I've explained to you, I'm an expert in areas that people don't know. Even my own surgeons, some of them marvel on what we do. You know, what we do in orthopedic technology is more closer to what is written in the book of John in the Bible. People come on their buttocks and we tell them, arise and walk. And then we make a prosthesis, and therefore they are walking. So they have rose and are walking. Some have got spinal cord injury, and therefore they come on wheelchairs. We are able to support their spines at times, if it is not a very severe thing, and make them stand up with what we call CAFOs. Those are the long leg braces. So they can be able to be upright. And therefore, some of the things we are doing are actually biblical. We are the last ones that, even where the surgeons feel they are defeated, they come back to us to ask us to be able to help in certain areas. When, like now, I have a case which is very interesting, where there's this disease we call lupus disease, and the girl ended up having amputation of both the hands and both legs. So she has got 4 parts of her body not there. We have already managed to make for her the lower limb prosthesis, and she's walking. It is a surprising thing. Everybody is surprised. We get children that are born with congenital deformities. We correct them within a very short time. So our area is an area of its own, but the impediment is that we are not known. I will tell you 3 reasons why we are not known. One, The workshop that now is not referred to as a workshop, we call it Prosthetics and Orthotics Laboratory. It's not a workshop because it is not only dealing with metallic things.
Yes.
We are dealing with medical fraternity as a whole. So children born with congenital problems, we manage them there. So you will not say they are being managed in the workshop. They are being managed in a prosthetics and orthotics laboratory.
Yes.
And therefore, at the moment, most of the things that we are doing are different with what we used to do before. And right now, the impediments that are there, we are having a very high hope that they are going to change. They are going to change in the sense that we have a donor that has come to hold our hands. Rehabilitation have always been left behind in the whole of the Ministry of Health. At the moment, we have a partner of the Ministry of Health that is referred to as CHAI. CHAI means Clinton Health Assistive Initiative. CHAI have supported us as rehabilitation to make the first ever strategic plan for rehabilitation in this country. 2022-2026, a 5-year strategic plan.
Yes.
These have been supported by CHAI.
Yeah.
CHAI at the moment is supporting the bigger rehabilitation in acquiring parts and components that we will use for even fabrication of those prostheses, orthotics, eyeglasses, anything assistive technology. And this is in the process almost being realized. Part of it has been realized because the technology is changing. We are bringing in 3D printing machines. And Kenya Medical Training College is going to be a beneficiary. They are going to have 2 3D printing machines. Kenyatta National Hospital, where I work, is also going to get 2 3D printing machines. This is because technology is dynamic.
Yes.
And we are moving ahead.
And also the aspect of knowledge about orthopedic services. Could it be the little or lack thereof of this knowledge? Could it be because we do not have a course a degree program that revolves around prosthetics and orthotics?
True. Your statement is very correct. At the moment, again, the same organization, CHAI, is supporting us together with Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology to develop a curriculum for BSc in prosthetics and orthotics in Kenya, which is going to be the first in the many years. Orthopedic technology practice started way back in 1972. Up to now, what we have gone to is only higher national diploma, which started maybe a couple of years ago. So I'm very excited as I'm talking to you because I am a national figure in this profession. The degree holders are very few in Kenya. We are only 8. And I'm one of them. And now I'm ahead of many because I am right now the president of ISPO Kenyan chapter. ISPO means International Society for Prosthetics and Orthotics. It is a world body that works with WHO to control the practices of orthopedic technology worldwide. So right now I'm the president of ISPO Kenyan chapter, and therefore I'm very excited because CHAI have identified me and are supporting my wishful thinking. Together, because of the production or the expenses of these parts, Kenya have already been identified and is going to have through the Ministry of Health. Even this support that CHAI is giving is through the Ministry of Health. They are going to support a center of excellence in JKUAT. This center of excellence, the government have already been given 10 acres of land by JKUAT to develop the center of excellence. Key partners in this center of excellence is the Ministry of Health herself. We have a company, a worldwide company called Orthopedic. Orthopedic is the company that sells for us parts and components for making some of these rehabilitative appliances, including the orthopedic bed, including the theater beds, and all this. Now, that Orthopedic is part of this company. We have another company that is called Motivation Charitable Trust. It is a US-based company. We have their branch here in Kenya. They are also supporting that Center of Excellence. My thinking and my dream is that the Center of Excellence is going to be where we are going to have the Prosthetics and Orthotics laboratory. JKUAT has got very senior engineers. So biochemistry, we are just going to use a whole branch of the engineers to help us in biochemistry.
Speaking of prosthetics, you're talking about an area that if I lose a limb, for instance, I lose my right hand, I can get a prosthetic that is functional, that I will be having no more hand operations with my hand?
Yes. It depends on the level of amputation. Like, for example, if you are just cut above the wrist, medically we call it transradial amputation. If you have a transradial amputation, I'll make for you a super limb, a super prosthesis that you will write with. You will do with almost all the things because we are using sensor to feel the need of the muscles and the direction it is going to take. That much we can be able to do here in Kenya. We have got so many techniques that are being used worldwide. In the advanced countries, they even take you to theater and insert the pins with the nerves so that the sensation of the nerve will help you do the function. So, ordinarily in Kenya, yes, we can make for you a functional hand. Here in Kenyatta National Hospital, you don't need to go anywhere.
But that knowledge is not really out there in the best way that Kenyans need to know about it, which also speaks to the accessibility of these services. How accessible are they?
Now, again, I'll go back to the organization that I've told you. You might think I'm praising Chai so much, but Chai is going to make these things accessible to ordinary Kenyans. The prices right now are way far above the ordinary Kenyan to access. What we do in Kenya, which is wrong, it's not right, is that unless, unless it is emergency surgery because of an accident or something like that, it is understandable. But even elective surgery, where we are going to do amputation, we as orthopedic technologists are not involved in making the decision before surgery. The ideal situation is that we must be there pre-operative and post-operative, so that at least people can know and put the expense together with the whole hospital expense. What happens in Kenya, it is not done. In Kenya, what they do is the surgeon will amputate you, even if it is a leg, and leaves you there disabled. It is now my responsibility to come and rehabilitate you so that you go back to your normal function. And then the expense of rehabilitation becomes much because you did a fundraising to be amputated. Now here you need a prosthesis. The reality is that you also need another fundraising to get this prosthesis.
So there needs to be synergy of some sort between prosthetists and surgeons.
Exactly. That is how it works. Even in our neighboring country here, Tanzania, they are ahead of us. When the surgeons are going to do what we call elective surgery, they will look for these people. They will assemble them. They will discuss with the patient together before the patient goes into theater, and the cost is put together. So when you are looking for $500,000, everything is taken, including rehabilitative services. But here in our country, you might look for $500,000 for only the surgery. And then the rest of it, you have to go back to the people again. We also don't have the cover for these things by insurance. Now, I'm pushing it to be part of what should be accepted, especially in this new insurance that is going to come from next month called SHIF from NHIF. So we are going to have SHIF instead of NHIF. And we are pushing so that appliances should be covered. At the moment, everybody is trained. So when it comes to accessing the prosthesis, it is not accessible.
Yeah. If a person is in need of prosthetic or orthotics, what are some of the things that they need to consider first?
When a person is in need of a prosthetic device, let's talk of that first. It is me as the professional that will talk to my patient to know the needs of this patient. A youthful patient who was, say, for example, an athlete, I am capable of making a prosthesis that this person can still run. Normally. An old patient, there's what we call the levels. We determine the patient with what we call K level. K level means the functional level of a patient.
Yes.
And we have from K level 1 to K level 4. K level 4 is a very active patient, like an athlete and a young person. K level 1 is that patient that has suffered something like diabetes mellitus, that has drained the power of this patient. Sometimes even vision is compromised. And therefore we need to make a prosthesis that will fit this particular person. As a professional, it is at my disgrace to decide what to give my patient. First of all, looking at the expenses. Second, looking at the time I expect this patient to use this, what we call life expectancy. The time I expect this patient to use this prosthesis. I will not make for you a prosthesis, or I will not make for a prosthesis for a 70-year-old person, a prosthesis that I can make for a 28-year-old person. So it all depends on the professional discretion. Yeah.
What do you see as the future of orthopedic technology services in the country?
Orthopedic technology have a very bright future. That I can tell you without fear of contradiction. The reason why I'm saying that is because of the involvement of this 80 scale 2030 and CHAI and the Ministry of Health. I am sitting in several committees that is making sure that we will be recognized in a very near future. I am also sitting in that committee that is developing the BSc program in prosthetics and orthotics with the JKUAT. And therefore, for me as a person, I'm very happy and a very proud man that orthopedic technology services is going to have a different phase in a very near future. Because there will be higher education in that area. Then we will access the right materials for prosthetics and orthotics. Then we will access the skills from already trained personnel, and we will have different short courses where we will take them to upgrade their skills. Yeah.
So meaning if we have that expertise within the country, it will also impact on how people access these services and also the cost?
Yes, it is going to impact because that area is going to work in partnership with the Center of Excellence that is going to be created in JKUAT that is going to produce quite a good number of these parts that we import right now from Germany, from elsewhere, you know, India, wherever. And the durability of these things depends on the experts to look at the right quality of materials. Yes. And orthopedic technology do a subject that is called material technology. That is not exploited to the end, because material technology will also justify the type of orthopedic implants, say, for example, artificial hip, when a surgeon is going to do a total hip replacement. A good surgeon will look for me, so that we look at the materials and the acceptability of this material to the human body where it is going to be put. We make them out of titanium. Sometimes some of them are gold coated. Some of them are made of duraluminium.
Yes.
But we don't get to that extent.
Yes.
We just give what is given.
Yes.
And you know, there is an English say that says that a poor man has no choice. So when you are sick,
yes,
we give you what is available, because you might not even be able to buy that one that is right for you. So that's how it happens. But accessibility is going to be better in a very near future, because the companies have told you we'll even work on issues of those implants and the right ones to be used in Kenya. We are going to upgrade our technology to 3D printing.
Yes.
So some of these things we are going to make them 3D printed. Already, Chai, together with the Ministry of Health, is in the process of acquiring 2 3D printing machines for Kenyatta National Hospital, where I work, and 2 3D printing machines for Kenya Medical Training College. This is because the students who are doing higher national diploma in prosthetics there are supposed to upscale their skills and come to Kenyatta for what we call clinical placement, where we are going to work now with the patients, and we are going to use 3D printing.
Yes.
So the future of orthopedic technology in this country is getting brighter and brighter.
Meaning also the prosthetics that are made here will be customized according to the needs of the patients.
It is what has always been happening, but now it is going, the standard is going to be higher than what it used to be before.
Yes.
Yes.
Your parting shot.
Thank you. My parting shot in this is that first of all, I want to tell the general public that orthopedic technology services are existing. And right now we are scaling down to all the counties, the 47 counties. We are actually thinking of them, especially with this budget that Chai is going to give us through, 80 scale is going to give us through Chai and the Ministry of Health.
Yes.
So we are thinking of them wherever they are. We are also thinking of the personnel. The problem has been the personnel. The orthopedic technologists are very few in the country, and the counties are also not employing them. So it is my plea to the Council of Governors to put these people in position. Because I am in that committee, the national committee that is making decision on areas to support.
Yes.
I want to tell the governors, if they are listening to this, that we will only be able to support an area where they have an orthopedic technologist. If they don't have, we will not support them. So they will continue suffering. And to my colleagues, orthopedic technologists, put your ears alert. The advertisement are going to be in air anytime. Starting from September, we are giving people short courses to upgrade their skills.
Thank you.
We have got so many short courses. About 10 curriculums have been made that we are going to upscale their skills.
Asante sana.
In rehabilitation.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
Thank you for making time for Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes.
Thank you, the whole KBC family. I wish you help me to make sure people knows that services are available.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is John Ondiege speaking to us about orthopedic technology services in Kenya. Don't go too far. Good Morning Kenya continues shortly. Stay with us.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika. tafuta matibabu.
Nitabaki kujijutia kwa madhila na dharau pia, na kukubali kutiania, fanya kwa ajili ya jania.
Moja katika amana ambazo Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam alitusisitizia tuhifadhi ni amana ya kuweka siri.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani.
Kile wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Always a pleasure to have you on board here on Good Morning Kenya. We continue with the show. My name is Mike Migwe. Now we are talking about the International Day for Combating Hate Speech. And combating hate speech, addressing misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. And in studio, I'm joined by Duncan Maigwa, who is a Strategic Communication Officer at CRECO, which is Constitution Reform Consortium. Karibu sana to the program. How are you doing this morning?
Thank you. I'm good.
Yes.
It's Constitution and Reform Education Consortium.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, combating hate speech, addressing and we are addressing through misinformation, disinformation.
Yes.
What is misinformation, disinformation, and fake news?
All right. So I think it's a very good note to start from that point. And thank you so much, Mike, for welcoming me to KBC Channel 1. I'm really happy. And to the definitions, misinformation is unintentional. Spreading of information. For instance, unintentional, for instance, interpretation of information and all that. But disinformation is when you intentionally want to spread information that is not correct.
Yeah.
But misinformation is when it is unintentional. And then now, of course, now when we now break down to fake news, that is now when we have, we talk about news that break, but are fake.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, of course, there are also other tabs such as malinformation. These are very wide scope on information disorders.
Yes.
That's what we call them. And malinformation is now when we have information, spreading information that is not supposed to be spread. For instance, we have a few cases in Kenya when we have someone spreading some information, photos, videos about someone in a lodging in a very compromising situation. Why would you spread that? That is malinformation. Yes, but misinformation is unintentional. Disinformation is intentional. Yes.
Now, the news and disinformation, fake news and disinformation are a common problem in democratic systems.
Yes.
How best can they be addressed to ensure that, because they do not spur hate speech?
All right.
Yes.
So I think one very common way in which, especially in the African continent and context also,
yes.
What most of the time we do is to put in laws and regulations, policies, to try and address the issues around misinformation and disinformation. But of course, it comes with the downside of it, because we have issues with the balancing act.
Yes.
How do you balance between regulating misinformation, disinformation, and fake news, and also the freedom of expression? How do you balance between that? Because we also have a few countries here and there, which I may not want to mention and to name names, where people have used regulation to curtail the freedom of expression amongst their citizens. But I think besides, and that is why, okay, for instance, just to mention from our end as an organization, what we are trying to how we are trying to address and advocate for is for what we call self-regulation, because we have realized that in as much as we have laws that could help curb misinformation, disinformation, and fake news, because this is what actually that is where actually hate speech stems from. So in as much as we have laws and we have all that, we are talking about self-regulation. The power is in your hands to stop this, because you know very well, sometimes you have even accounts that are bots. We have accounts that you can not even trace, for instance, if it is social media platforms. So it is not, the laws have not been, what I can say, comprehensive in terms of addressing misinformation and disinformation to stop them from propagating hate speech. Yes.
Which means also the level of accountabilities on editorial processes on digital platforms is not the same as the level of editorial expectations that are placed on traditional media?
Sure, I agree, correct. Because, for instance, you know, initially, even I know very well you had this even in school when you were studying journalism.
Yes.
Definitely one of the, when we would be asked a question, what is the role of the media? And we will say gatekeeping, you know, it's a watchdog, you know, quite a number of, but nowadays talking about gatekeeping, is it, really, is the media really able also to, for instance, the traditional media able to gatekeep, for instance, information? Because nowadays we have what we call, it's like an outbreak of information. Let me just use that, what we are now calling infodemic. It's like we are in a pandemic whereby information is flowing freely and controls have been really limited. So and now getting to what you're saying about accountability, it's very hard. There was this research, Mike, that was done that by Mozilla Foundation. That was during Kenya's election, whereby and it was they were bringing this aspect where they were saying that from a dancing app to a political machinery, that is TikTok. Yes. Whereby these people were saying that. That in as much as these social media companies have the funding and all that to stop the spread of misinformation and disinformation, they are not able to do that, and especially within our context. For instance, someone from Rift Valley, if they say something in their mother tongue, someone from Central, if they say something in their mother tongue, it can be flagged. It can be flagged. So the level of accountability, especially on social media platforms, will only come, will only be achieved. Accountability can only be achieved through self-regulation, especially within the African context. But even in the common dialects, it's still happening in its own sneaky way and cheeky way, and it's still happening. Yes.
How about the aspect of fighting disinformation with information? Is that possible?
Yes, it is possible. Actually, if you allow me, let me just quote something. There is a scripture whereby, and I'll bring it to context, whereby a story is given of, and I think Jesus was giving this story, and he would say that when a demon leaves someone, it keeps on coming to check to confirm whether the house that it left is still empty. And so when it finds it empty, it goes and gets other stronger, 7 other stronger demons than him, so that they can come and get back to the same house. Now, let me bring this into context. It's the same case that happens with information. For instance, if if you deprive people of information, for instance, if you deprive people of information, and recently we saw the Commission of Administrative Justice, that's the Office of the Ombudsman, ordering Nairobi County government to release a specific information.
Yes.
So when there is emptiness in terms of information, that is what we call the information gap. People tend to consume any information. But when people have access to the right information, it empowers them to fight what is fake. So when we want to fight fake news, misinformation, disinformation, that's why we are, again, self-regulation.
Yes.
You, Mike, share the right information.
Yes.
I share the right information. And of course, some of us, even our parents, we see what they go through. They send to us even some terrorist attack in Nairobi. And so they are sending us as their sons, you know, be careful, I'm praying for you. And it is purely wrong information. Being said that it's coming maybe from the National Police, and it's actually a fake account. So, but yes, I can agree with you that if we want to fight misinformation and disinformation, it's everybody's task to spread the correct information.
Yes.
Yes.
There's also the aspect of cyber media literacy, because everything now is moving to the digital platforms. What is the role of cyber media literacy in fighting misinformation, disinformation to prevent sparring hate speech?
All right. We have kept Mike advocating and telling people that there is need for people to be intentional about upscaling their media literacy, their literacy levels in terms of digital literacy and media literacy as a whole. Let me just use that term. Because, Mike, it is very, very, very difficult sometimes to cope with the pace that things are changing, that things are changing within the digital space. For instance, talking about AI, for instance, it's very possible, Mike, that very soon someone is going to send you a video of you saying something right here in studio, and indeed you're actually on leave. It's very likely.
Yes.
And we have seen some of these examples out here on the digital space.
Yes.
And so it is everyone's prerogative to ensure that they educate themselves and play and be programs that enhance their digital literacy skills, because things are changing. For instance, Mike, if I'm to develop a curriculum, for instance, today, and say this curriculum is addressing issues, is a curriculum that is going to teach people on digital literacy and all that. Maybe in the next 2 months, it needs to be revised. It needs to be revised because things are fast changing, and therefore there has to be a deliberate effort amongst young people, especially because I'm talking about the young people, because they're the biggest propagators of fake news. It is manufactured by different people, including government. Government propagates especially misinformation. Misinformation. Governments really propagate misinformation. And of course we now have the bloggers who propagate disinformation. It's very intentional. So we are telling them that you need to be very intentional about upscaling your digital literacy skills. Yes, so it's about intentionality.
Can digital platforms or develop approaches that include the artificial intelligence and human intelligence in curbing misinformation and disinformation? Because we are talking about a situation where there's a lot of content that is shared widely every day. Is it possible for that to happen?
Yes, it is possible. We have seen a few efforts by some also media houses, sometimes trying to, especially international media houses, sometimes trying to establish desks to fight misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. But now, again, trying to cope with these digital platforms and the pace at which they go, it's really a deal. It's such a great deal. And therefore, so for instance, maybe just to bring in, we bring in now the whole issue about AI, artificial intelligence. Of course, we have seen also even media houses using a few photos here and they're AI generated and all that. But again, how does the media come on board to ensure that there is authenticity in as much as AI is assistive. It was it was coming to be assistive.
Yes.
So, but how can the media, maybe what we can talk about is how the media can show, demonstrate proper use of AI. Yes.
Now, when it's still on that, what is the role of government in all this? Because in as far as we may say we want to fight hate speech, misinformation and disinformation, the government has a role. Talk about that.
Yeah, it does. It does, and as I said earlier, what the government mostly has done is to really push for the implementation of these laws. For instance, the Cyber Crimes, Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act, and all that, and Elections Offences Act, which also addresses a few issues on publication of false information.
Yes.
And we have seen most of the time government working around
yes.
And there are times they even do that whenever only it's convenient to them.
Yes.
Because, for instance, we have today is International Day for Countering Hate Speech.
Yes.
We have people in government who daily propagate hate speech.
Yes.
Daily, on a daily, we see them, but rarely would you see any action taken upon them. Unlike people who are not in government, when they propagate such information, action is taken upon them. So government has a role, of course, to make sure that the law takes its course.
Yes.
But again, for us, and what I would actually advocate for is when the government takes actions and funds initiatives to educate young people on how they can be digital literate, so that people can be empowered and we can have a responsible young people in society.
Tukimalizia.
Yes.
Vijana tuchanuke. It's one of the themes for this year's International Day for Combating Hate Speech. What informed that?
All right.
Yes.
So Vijana Tuchanuke is an initiative by CRECO, the organization I work in, that is Constitution and Reform Education Consortium. And what we are telling young people is that time has come for you to wise up.
Yes.
Because we have realized that if young people do not rise up to the occasion and understand that power is in their hands, because they are the users of these gadgets, they are the greatest propagators of what has been manufactured, if not the source.
Yeah.
And we are telling them to wise up. And wising up is knowing that fake news, and actually talking about today, hate speech, it's in bad taste. It's not funny. Sometimes you have made cultural stereotypes, religious stereotypes. We have actually even made, for instance, political sentiments to be funny when they are against or they are in bad taste. And sometimes we have, as young people, propagated that because we think it's funny. We are telling them it's not funny. Let us wise up. There are people who are greatly affected by this. Just to mention Mike real quick, because I know time is not on our side. One of the Kenya's champions, you remember in an interview with one of the international media houses, spread against him, and it was totally false. It's affecting a family, it's affecting an individual, it's affecting even policy. Sometimes when we spread this information, it even makes people to make wrong decisions. So let us wise up as young people. That is where it's coming from.
Yes.
Yes.
Asante sana. Thank you for making time. There's a lot to talk about in this area, but time is not on our side.
Yes.
But maybe another time we'll get into details kabisa. That is Duncan Maigwa, who is a strategic communication officer at Constitution and Reform Education Consortium, speaking to us about combating hate speech on this day that we are marking International Day of Countering Hate Speech, which is marked on 18th of June. This is where we cap matters. Good morning, Kenya. Thank you for watching the show. My name is Mike Megwith. Let's do this again tomorrow morning. Good morning.
Wajua Nuru, mimi kila kikuona huwa moyo wangu unadunda dunda.
Na ulikuwa utaki udunde. Kufa basi moyo wache kudunda. Yaani mimi niko peke yangu kama jini vile. Naomba yaishi jamani.
Basi kwa taarifa yako, hata na nafasi yake pia hapa kwangu sina haja naye.
Umefanya nini kaka? Tulia. Umeona huwezi kumshinda kakako kihalali ukaamua kumwangamiza?
But 8 billion people live on Earth, and we all need to eat and preserve our beautiful planet. Is it even possible to do both? Yes, using tech. And smart farming is our topic on Shift today.
You can have the right equipment, but without appropriate training, you won't be able to produce good cotton. This education helps the farmers to improve their techniques and produce high-quality cotton.
In order to be equipped for future challenges and to produce higher yields on the cotton fields, more and more farmers in Cameroon want to participate in the virtual training courses. From peanut butter to frozen pizza, one product that's in almost everything is palm oil. It has a great shelf life and can withstand. Forests have been cut down for palm oil plantations, which threatens animal species and the air we breathe. Now, that doesn't sound very eco-friendly, does it? But palm oil actually requires much less deforested area than rapeseed or soy. It just needs to be sustainable. How can we check? With a new app from Indonesia, for example. Indonesia is by far the largest palm oil producer in the world. More than 16 million people here work as farmers, oil mill operators, traders, and in the food industry. It's a long supply chain, and for true sustainability, every step needs to be vetted. Manfred Bohrer from Switzerland co-founded Coltiva to this end. He always knew that
we can't just build a software for a farmer or a software for a trader. It has to be a holistic end-to-end system where we deliver a platform which helps agri-input suppliers, farmers, and the off-takers, the mills, up to the brands.
Verifying the data is key. To date, Coltiva has registered more than 120,000 smallholder palm oil plantations in Indonesia alone, and each farmer has been interviewed by Coltiva staff.
So we have verification that the farm is not in protected forests, not involved in deforestation over the past 10 years, and that they do not exploit children and their labor on their farm.
Today, Coltiva has become a global company with 800 employees. Its mission is to enable and ensure traceability at every stage of production, processing and sales. As more and more companies are looking to making their supply chains more transparent.
Often a contract starts with a multinational company, a brand, coming to us, okay, please help us to map our supply chains.
The Jakarta-based tech company diversified its portfolio. These days, it doesn't just cover palm oil supply chains, but also the more than 1 million producers of over 50 different raw materials from across the globe who have also signed up. There are many apps for cattle breeders. Farmers can use these to access data on their livestock on their smartphones. DigiCow also has a chat function where they can chat directly with veterinarians. Tech connects people. Also in Latin America, where an app helps farmers sell their products by connecting them directly with customers so they can order produce straight from the farmers. Many farms in Colombia are located in remote areas. So transporting produce can be difficult, and small farmers don't have as many options for selling their crops, which makes it harder to earn a fair and stable income. Yuli Galindo and Camilo Ramos want to change this with their platform Siembra Co.
When we saw all the productive barriers and challenges that small-scale farmers faced, we started to develop a solution, an integral solution for the farmers. And in that moment, we think about virtual planting, in which we can connect farmers and customers before planting.
Customers can order produce directly from the farmers and can now also choose how many plants should be grown for them. The crops can be delivered to them, but they can also be sold or donated. But the startup isn't stopping at being a direct marketer. 2,600 small-scale farming families live in Colombia and Guatemala. Siembraco would like to see them profit from information and insights available on the platform.
We use AI in different areas. The most important are logistics. We use a platform that uses AI to do all the deliveries in the best way. And we also use AI to give support to our farmers. I mean, we process the satellite image through AI platform, and thus our technical support can give information to the farmers.
More data can hopefully lead to better crops. These days, Siembraco also delivers to restaurant chains and companies. The aim is to make these markets more accessible to small-scale farmers too.
Now is the moment to implement technology in agriculture, because we need to bring opportunities to the field to motivate new generations working in the crops.
It's impressive how many support tools are available for farmers these days. In the end, there is no planet B, right? So we have to find ways to grow food and protect our planet. By changing our diets at least a little and supporting these farming projects, each one of us can contribute to a healthier, more sustainable future. That's all from me. Thanks, and see you next time.
Let's assume you're wearing a smartwatch. How does it actually measure your heart rate? There are two different methods: optical pulse measurement with light and a heart rate sensor that records electrical activity. More on that now.
When it comes to accurate heart rate monitoring, we always recommend the classic chest straps. It's an electrophysiological recording